Media transmissions from Earth have polluted the Milky Way galaxy with completely unwatchable content. Fearing these signals will spread beyond our galaxy, Captain S and the 01 Legion have headed to Earth to destroy the source of this woke mind virus.
Do you like your video games to be fun, without agenda, and generally playable? Congratulations, you're an enemy of the state.
Don't worry, guys. We just found out that Disney fired half the staff of Daredevil Born Again because there wasn't enough trans people on the show.
I still don't know where that song comes from.
But it's a perfect song. I always get so ready to fight.
It's Razor Ramon. It's like the old WWF star from the 1990s.
Mm-hmm. You don't take no prisoners.
It was literally a 6'6", 280-pound white guy pretending to be a Cuban. Like he was literally just doing Al Pacino from Scarface the entire time.
We're gonna get that again.
That sounds Hollywood.
Yeah. All right. But yes, everybody, it is Wednesday night. We are back for another episode of the 01 stream here at Bounding Into Comics. Obviously, we have DZ3 here as our first guest. Says, looks like I am first today. And hello, everyone. Time has finally changed for you. Yes. So in case you guys didn't notice, depending on where you are, daylight savings time is now in effect. Did we wait? We went into it, right? Like,
yes.
Anyway, yeah. So it's in effect.
I lives where it's not a thing.
Okay, yeah, I'm the only person here who I think lives in a state that just said we're not doing that, and I thank goodness for it every day.
And you know, I was gonna yell at you till I realized you're in Arizona because I'm thinking to myself, you mentioned that message, like, oh, daylight savings screwed me up. It's like, bro, it's. I
know. It should have been like, well, you're on the same thing, but I've been thrown all week, or all 2-3 days.
It's like it's damn near Friday. You haven't adjusted to the time change yet. It's like, come on now.
I almost forgot. Like 01 was supposed to start at 6 tonight because it normally starts at 7 for me, and so at like 5:30, I was like, oh, that's right. I gotta like set up the screen. I gotta get everything going.
Yep.
But yes, so
disappointed.
Look, who was it? Wasn't it like Nixon or Reagan or somebody wanted to get rid of daylight savings time? Honestly, just run on that platform and you've got my vote for forever. Like, just get rid of it.
You don't even have to fix taxation. Just don't change the clocks.
Just none of that. You don't have to fix taxation. You don't have to look into a certain client list.
Bomb anybody you like. Just don't change the clocks.
Any of that. Just get us back on track. Make us a proper country again. But yes, that is why we You may notice that we are at a live at a different time. Again, mainly if you're in Arizona or if you're outside of the States. But aside from that, we've still got the same great show for you, the same great crew. And oh man, do we have so much to talk about this week. Everything from we have all the Sweet Baby drama. We have all of the X-Men 97 drama. And now, of course, we have all of the, I guess it's a new breaking drama that sort of just dropped before we went live, which is what Jacob was touching on. And I guess we could probably use this as our first topic of the night. But according to, or you go ahead. Yeah.
No, I was just gonna say. So apparently, like literally right before an hour before we went live here, there was a whole bunch of Marvel insider news that dropped off, and some of it was very, very interesting, and some of it was just like, oh my god, what are you guys possibly doing right now? So I'm gonna go ahead and try to bring up what I just found out. Oh, you got it.
Yeah, Cider's got the one you sent us.
There you go. So, Marvel Studios reportedly casting for 4 transgender talents who have a big role in one of the episodes in Daredevil Born Again. So, if you guys haven't been following the saga with Daredevil Born Again, here's what happened. Over the last several years, ever since Disney reobtained the rights to the Netflix show that people actually liked, they got all the Netflix characters in. Daredevil has been trickled into a few of these Disney Plus shows now, and they were going to give him his own show, which I believe was supposed to be 18 episodes. It was supposed to be the longest one that they've done to date. They've shot and filmed about 9 episodes and then realized the show was so bad they had to scrap the entire thing, fired pretty much everyone, and brought back the original showrunners from the Netflix series, which they should have probably done in the first place. And now they're scrambling to and now they're scrambling to like bring back all the other characters from the Netflix series that you guys like. So it's like they basically just said, hey, look, we're blowing this whole thing up, and we're gonna eat all of this money that we sunk into this, half this thing is shot, we're gonna start all over again. And now we get this announcement that, hey, by the way, in Daredevil Born Again, there's gonna be a big angle with transgender people in one of the episodes of the show. Aren't you excited?
Like here, yeah. So that's the news from Daniel Richmond, Daniel RPK. You guys all know him, major scooper. Apparently, Daredevil Born Again is currently casting for 4 transgender roles, but it's a big role in one of the episodes. So that's I don't even know what to say here at this point, huh? A big role, if you know what I mean. Yeah, no, phrasing is how you say it. But yeah. So. Yeah, like this just kind of sucks because you guys have like I've been saying this for the last couple of weeks. Like ever since they sort of scrapped Daredevil, the first few moves they made with its like reboot, I'll admit to being like, okay, show me what. All right, you've got my interest. You know, they hired an actual team. They hired a showrunner. I was like, okay, cool. Then they said, all right, we're also going to bring back Bullseye, and I was like, awesome. We didn't get enough of him. That makes me really excited. And then like everything we've seen since is just like, no. By the way, Bullseye's costume sucks. By the way, we're not redoing everything. We have to still use some of the footage we're using or from the original run. Oh, by the way, now there's going to be a huge transgender story angle to one of these.
Keep using that word,
right?
And
which one? Angle?
A huge transgender.
Just, big, giant, just like they are in One Piece.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that one island.
Yep, the Newcama Island. But yeah, so to play slight devil's advocate, or not, it's not even devil's advocate. It's more like I'm just speculating here. What role could we be seeing from this? I'm guessing it's going to be it's going to very much be like a trans plight, trans abuse sort of storyline where they're probably getting ignored or Matt takes up their case. There's a difference between what I want to say would work within Daredevil's mythos and how this would work in a Daredevil story and how this is going to work with Disney. It's to me, yeah, go ahead.
my guess is that knowing Disney, like what's the wokest possible route they can possibly go with this, right? So it would be Daredevil having to take a case of 4 transgender people possibly being harassed by some form of like a Catholic group because Daredevil is Catholic. Yeah. So the bad guys have to be, and now he's gonna have to conflict about his Catholic morals and this transgender group. So because he has to show that even though he's a Catholic superhero, I'm still an ally to the LGBTQ, and that's the angle that I would guess that they would go with this whole thing, especially since the title of the show is called Born Again, which is a lot of religion.
I would much prefer that route because at least it's somewhat like quote unquote realistic. Like it's grounded. That's the word I want. Like it's grounded. My first thought when I heard that news, I was like, what team of supervillains or whatever are Marvel about to like gender swap and turn into this? Because
it'll just be They'll say it'll just be a group of like just Catholic Trump supporters. So say
honestly, like as soon as you brought that up like a second ago with Matt, I was like, oh man, we know that Daredevil Born Again is going to deal with that plot of Kingpin running for office and the cops who idolize the Punisher and stuff. So yeah, I can definitely see or not Trump, but Kingpin being written as a Trump stand-in. Or like a conservative stand-in with all of the grace you expect out of Disney. So like, just none of that sounds good. None of this sounds like it's going to be, like worth watching. I don't know. I don't trust like you, Jacob. Like I don't trust them to do this with any sort of like talent, skill, non-activist way. You know what I mean? Like it's just going. Even if. I don't know. It's just
indeed.
Yes. That's really where I'm at with this, which is just like, is this what is you have? What is it now? What did you say, Jacob? Like 9 episodes, 8 episodes? Like,
well, 9 episodes they completed before they scrapped, which is scary to think about. It's like, how bad could those 9 episodes have been for Disney to say we have to go into another direction? Like, well, we've seen Echo, right? We've seen Echo. How bad were these episodes that they say no?
Dude, we saw Echo. We saw Secret Invasion. Well, somebody out there did. We didn't, but somebody out there watched
some
Secret
brave
Invasion.
Soul.
Yeah, somebody took I think Critical Drinker took the hit for us. But no, like that's what's so shocking about the whole revamp is like how actually bad was the original thing. And now it's sort of like with that new Warriors comic, I just want to see it. I just want to see your treatments. I want to see the behind the scenes like documents where you guys were exchanging story notes, because it's got to be a disaster. There's absolutely no way.
Well, speaking of behind the scenes, we do have breaking news. Marvel Studios is reportedly trying to take a less risky approach to things and focusing on more guaranteed hits going forward. Movies like Captain Marvel 3 or Ant-Man 4 won't happen.
Oh,
so in other words, Brie Larson, you fired.
Dude, she's got to be like, that's bad. So my first reaction to this is like, oh wow, okay. So my first reaction is like, oh, wow, this is what Bob Iger and Kevin Feige said they were going to do, where they're going to scale back their output, where they're going to start focusing on like the things that work. But then I remember that I had that same feeling with the Daredevil stuff. Like, oh yeah, showrunners here, directors here, scaling back. Okay, cool. Now, but then like literally what did we just talk about? A couple months have gone by and now we're starting to see every time news comes out, things just get worse. So it's like, oh yeah, no Ant-Man, no Captain Marvel, Young Avengers? Like, is that what we're getting now? Are we getting She-Hulk 2? Or like, Black Panther 3 with Shuri in it? Like, I don't know what else you guys have. You don't want to do the X-Men yet. Spider-Man is in freaking limbo because you want to do 900 projects with every single character. Like, you want a Silk show, and Miles is going to be in the next movie probably. And you've got all your Spider-Verse crap. And it's just like, this is like, I don't know what Marvel's really doing over there. I don't know what they have that's not
don't either.
Risky,
don't worry.
Right? Like, to me,
it's like the house is basically on fire and they're trying to grab as much as they can and like blow off the flames before like the rest of it catches fire. It's like they're essentially trying to put it out with like a giant bucket of water and it's not working, and they just don't want to admit that everything's going wrong.
Like, that's completely what it is, but it's also like in the midst of throwing all the water and everything, they're going, oh, save the things that are like super valuable to this house or whatever. And instead of grabbing things that are like photo albums or documents or Nana or whatever, you're grabbing like an instruction manual for the lawnmower, like a gallon of milk out of the fridge. Like, you're just grabbing things. Cause like I read this one and I go, no Captain Marvel, no Ant-Man. Okay, Captain Marvel, we know why that thing failed. Nobody really cares about that character. Brie Larson completely torpedoed it, like both her and Carol's chances of being like a popular hit. And the Marvels did abysmally. But then I look at Ant-Man and I'm like, yes, Quantumania was awful, but that you have Paul Rudd there. That's a person that people still like. The character still has potential, and you're just throwing that out because the last movie did bad. There's no strategy over there. There's just nothing. But you're gonna keep Captain America Brave New World, which is like
Look, they got a plan. They've got a plan, okay? Here.
And Neil can be amazed at the touch of the black man. I bring life.
See, they got to figure it out. Just put more black people in it, and it'll be fine. It'll fix everything.
It's really funny you bring that clip up in context of the MCU, because all the graphics that go around lately where people are like, this is what could be on the next Avengers, or this is the likely next Avengers, or whatever. Like, the only guy is Mackie, and he's a black guy. So it's like, oh yeah, he's going to be your Captain America leader. He's going to have your magic touch. Like, it's going to happen. It's so bad. Yes, Leslie, no more Kangs from Marvel. He was Kang for a very, 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 very short period of time. Where was this? Yeah, Leslie says, Marvel thinks little Fantastic Four women will be a hit. And like, that's what I took away from this too, Leslie, where it's like, okay, what main things do you guys even have anymore? It's like, it's Spider-Man. I genuinely can't tell you what, like, Black Panther, nobody cares about anymore because it's Shuri. Like, everything is awful.
Even this rumored, like, this new Avengers, keep in mind, we're still supposed to be leading up to a Avengers movie somewhere in the next like 2 to 3 years, right? So you ask yourself, who is even going to be on this team that anyone's going to care about? The only people who I guess you've set up over the last couple of years is Shuri, Black Panther, so you have to add her for one. I guess Ant-Man is technically still there, so you have to put him there.
Technically still around, yeah.
Thor is technically still around. I mean, he's technically still there, so you could bring Thor back if you absolutely needed to. And Captain Marvel, I guess, is still around too. It's like that's everyone you can name is like, yeah, I guess you could put them on the Shang-Chi. Shang-Chi, we're gonna put him on the team.
Forgot about him.
And I heard people saying,
"Gotta go."
And I've heard people saying, "Oh, well, they'll just put She-Hulk." It's like they're not bringing She-Hulk back. You know how bad She-Hulk was.
Yeah. You will never hear about that show ever again.
You think they're gonna go from like her like whining about her ex-boyfriend drinking wine for 12 episodes, and all of a sudden she's gonna be an Avenger? Like,
well, like you know how Star Wars right now, right? They keep making stuff in that very small window between Return of the Jedi and Force Awakens, like that 40-year gap or whatever.
Yeah.
Every story Mandalorian goes in there, Book of Boba Fett, Ahsoka, all this crap. That's sort of like what She-Hulk is now. It's like that was so bad. We don't want to address it. So that's the end of the timeline, or like our current timeline. And we're just going to fill in all the gaps until we literally have to film that second before She-Hulk.
We're just going to pretend like this did not happen.
They really, I don't even know I haven't seen any like merch with her. I haven't seen any ads with her. I mean, there's not really, who would want to go buy a She-Hulk action figure? I remember, you guys know like the Hot Toys, the ones that are like $600 and they're super realistic and they look really nice. I remember they put one out for She-Hulk and I was just like, my immediate reaction was, who? Like, what person is, even the most like soy-faced Marvel fan, I don't think is running out to get your replica statue of She-Hulk, because it was just so terrible.
So you know what's not terrible though.
Well,
I just want to break. Yep.
Before we cross over here, so I just put out this is based on just the movies. This isn't even the Disney Plus show. Based on the movies, these are the only realistic people that they can have on the next Avengers team, and this is your entire list. You have Spider-Man. I guess you still have him in the whole, as long as you can keep that deal with Sony going, right?
Yeah.
You got Doctor Strange. You got Ant-Man, Black Panther, Black Captain America, and Captain Marvel. That's really it. Like, you're gonna have to shoehorn some other people in there to make a new team.
Well, like point. That's what they have to do at this point, is like all the characters that they have. So aside from, and I'm gonna be really generous with this read, right? Like aside from Thor, Thor, Doctor Strange, Ant-Man, and Spider-Man, we like every other character is a like a rookie hero who's just getting started. Like, remember when the Avengers teamed up? It was because there's a like a world-ending threat. We have a literal god coming here and an alien invasion, and so we get like who makes up the Avengers? You have giant hulking massive monster. You have the world's greatest soldier. You have the world's best like technological inventor. You have the world's best super spy. 2 of them at that. And now it's like, what do we have? We have a girl from Jersey in Miss Marvel. We have Shuri, who is like skinnier than a twig. You have Love from Thor Love and Thunder, like Thor's daughter. Like, there's nobody here that A, people really care about, or B, feel like they should be on the Avengers. It really feels like see right here, Cider showing this is like a team. Like, these are men and women of power. You look at the potential for the next team, and it really does look like, oh man, like we were going to play a sports match tomorrow, but our bus exploded on the way over. Who can we get to just take the field and fill in these positions? Because we still have to play. Well, and so
another thing is that all of their movies,
something.
all of their movies and their TV shows have just been one flop after another after another. The only 2 movies you can consider a financial success in the last 3 years is Spider-Man and Doctor Strange. Like, those are the only 2. So you're going to lead an Avengers team with those 2?
And kind of with Doctor Strange. Like, Spider-Man did. That's like unequivocal.
I mean, you say kind of with Spider-Man, because that's Sony's getting most of the money on that
true,
deal.
That's true too. So it made a profit, but not necessarily for Disney, for Sony.
Yeah.
Well,
but yeah, like
you've always got their cat lady bait.
Maybe, like, what are they even like? Where's he going now? I didn't watch Loki season 2. I didn't care.
He defeated Kang,
right?
And then he rose up out of the Wizard of Oz toilet.
Yeah.
He was okay.
You know what Loki is now as a character? He's basically like modern day John Cena. It's like, yeah, he was really big 10 years ago, but now he basically just shows up occasionally and he's jobbing to like one of Roman Reigns' cousins. Like, that's pretty much his role now in the MCU.
That is literally like the best approximation you could have given. Here's how much of a jobber he's become, and I will never forgive this because it bugs me to this day. At that very end moment, like, of Loki, because I've had to go watch some things to get screenshots, yada yada yada. But when he walks into that final chamber and he starts like having his like suit melted away in favor of his like Loki cloak, when he sits down finally, he's still wearing like moccasin Ugg loafers. And it bugs the ever-living crap out of me because it's like, dude, just put on like boots. Just put on or like dress shoes, just anything else that's not weird. I just got out of my trailer 5 minutes ago. Can we shoot this now?
Yeah.
Let's see. I wanted to address Bad Comic Review says time to bust out their secret weapon, Star Brand. Here's the thing. I genuinely feel like we're getting to the point where that's going to be something they have to bust out. Not that Star Brand's a necessarily bad character, but it is. Star Brand's obscure. It's really cosmic and weird. And the second you introduce that, you have the Eternals problem, right? Where it's like, where was the super powerful being? But they're getting so desperate, Bad Comic. What else do they have?
They're introducing the Sentry into this. They literally can't explain that now. Unless he goes in and just turns into the Sentry at the beginning of the movie. There's no way to explain how that guy allowed any of the events of the past 5 years to happen. He probably would have been in the middle of She-Hulk and Daredevil hooking up like, no, the Void tells me this is a good idea, and I've learned to not obey the Void.
Exactly. Like, how we're going to explain that, there's basically a Superman on the Earth all of these years, and then there was just no interaction with him whatsoever, not even with the X-Men characters, but when they were back in like the 60s and the 70s and whatnot, it's like, no one knew this guy existed until he died, and now the mantle is a black girl in a wheelchair with superpowers.
It's just like in Eternals where they were like, oh, here's these really powerful, superhero gods that have been here for forever. Hey, why didn't you help Thanos? Oh, we have to let the humans like save themselves. And it's like, but you gave him like technology.
But he's from space.
Built cities. I know.
That's got nothing to do with humanity.
So dumb. It's such a bad explanation.
Oh, it was. It was. I watched a Russian hat cam of it, so I had the pleasure of like having Russians cackling in the background.
It's so bad. Hollywood's so bad now. They don't even wear the hats anymore. They'll just sit there with like a video camera. No one's gonna stop them.
Get like one of those RCA camcorders on their shoulder. Just
yeah, dude.
Just 4K now.
Dude, at this point, you can like buy like a ticket for your camera tripod, set it up, get your sound recording.
The theater's like, thank God he bought 2 tickets.
It's so bad when
people wanted to see Madam Web. Thank God.
One of the first comments of the comic book strip that showed the Sentry in the wheelchair. Somebody said, "What's going to be her superpower? Jumping jacks?" She gonna do it.
Like, how are you going to get away from her? Just go up a slight bit, like 4 stairs.
Yeah,
you got her. Like
she's going to have the superpower of wiggling her toes. Like, that's just going to come down to.
It's one of those things, right? Like it perplexed me when the Green Lanterns gave a cat the Green Lantern power. Like I understood a planet like Mogo having a sentience. Like you can put a brain in a planet somewhere and it'll do something. But like a cat. Just a cat. It's not an alien cat either. It's just a cat. It's a regular old Earth cat. That's it.
And I like the sentient virus. That was a neat idea.
Well, again, I mean, like this is the thing is like
I know.
Time and time again in comics, they just choose the most bizarre way of expressing their own like life choices, life problems. We heard this from the Sweet Baby Ink nut job about inserting herself into everything.
Oh my gosh.
So that's what they did with the Sentry lady. They were probably like, yeah, I have a next door neighbor who wants to be a superhero, but she's trapped in a wheelchair. So I'm not just even like gonna give her the power to fly, but not fix her legs.
I wish Cider to God that it was even that like altruistic or like nice, where it's like, oh, I know somebody personally in my life, like who I could give some inspiration to, like, even if that, like, that would be so much better. And I'd have so much respect for that. But like, as Jacob always points out, you got to like looking at all of the parts of her character. She's black. She's a woman. She's disabled. She's a journalist. Like she's a YouTuber, like a YouTube reviewer. She literally just feels like, oh, I want to make people on my side like the superhero. Like I'm going fetishizing almost.
Bingo card.
Yeah, that's literally what it is. It's like, oh, I can get a huge diversity win here. I'm gonna go for it. Sort of like they did with Amanda Stenberg or whatever her name is, who's coming up in The Acolyte, where it's like she's a black, non-binary activist woman, LGBT. I don't like everything. She hits like every box, and they were just like, oh yeah, this is great. We're gonna have all the marketing for this.
We just keep hitting the fucking home runs, Disney.
Just keep hitting them home runs. Henry Thrun asked before we jump over, what about the Guardians of the Galaxy? Are they still valuable? So yes, they're still valuable. Like people still like them. You could probably still merchandise them, yada yada. But you can't do anything with them anymore unless you recast them and you do like a whole new Guardians. They're done. Like all of them have moved on.
Well, the problem is James Gunn is gone now, so he won't be involved in any future Guardians of the Galaxy films. And then, like I said, mostly everyone else has moved on too. Like Batista said, he's not coming back.
Yeah, Batista's gone.
Like, yeah, Chris Pratt's probably done too. It's like all the big name characters. Like I don't think that Zoe Saldana wants to do another film where she's got to get up in green makeup when she's almost 50 years old. So yeah, I think most of those guys are pretty much done and over with, unless you do like the new Guardians of the Galaxy type thing. It's like, I don't think that one's gonna work anymore.
And like, so, but like, and that's the thing is there are two ways they could go with a new Guardians, because there's the team we saw at the end of 3, which was like that was more of just sort of like a nice little like bonus, like bye, where it was like Phyla, Sean Gunn, Rocket, Groot, and Adam Warlock, right? Like there's a team you could do, but I don't know if Bradley Cooper or Vin are going to come back. But then you also have to consider like, oh, if they do new Guardians, what other characters are they going to get? And there's so many dumb new space characters. Like Kitty Pryde was a Guardian of the Galaxy for a little while. You can get Moondragon and Phyla, who like good characters, but they'll just lean on the lesbian angle like 100%. So they like it's still there, Henry, and they could theoretically do something with it. At this point, obviously we're at that point with Marvel where we see their logo on anything and we just go, nope, done. But like, at least with me, like I'll admit to it. with the Guardian stuff, because it stayed under Gunn and it was sort of like the one-man direction vision, regardless of what we all think of him, because I know not a lot of us are fans of him here, but like one man's vision, he's on it. Okay, I'll check out Guardians like again when it comes out. But now that that's out of there, it's just going to be another Marvel movie, and so I don't know. yes.
Point,
so it did say Star-Lord will return, but to that, yes. So that's a good point. I totally forgot about that. They did say Star-Lord will come back. We just haven't heard anything, and so I'm kind of at the point where if we've gotten one of those confirmations of X character will be back, it's Secret Wars. Like that's where I'm at right now. Like I don't think we're gonna see a Star-Lord solo before that. What were you saying, Jacob? Sorry, man.
Look, there's only one thing they could possibly do to right this ship, because they literally have already introduced every single character imaginable at this point, and have pretty much like dropped the ball with all of them. So the only person who's going to save this Marvel Cinematic Universe moving forward is Squirrel Girl. That's the only way. That's the only one you got left. That's the only one. I want the poorly drawn, derpy, half autistic Squirrel Girl in her was it that doo-doo brown jacket, like that 84 Padres jacket that she got.
I like that. You brought up like how bad was Daredevil that they had to scrap it. Remember, there was going to be a Squirrel Girl series. Like they cast it. It was going to be the AT&T girl. They shot a pilot. It was ready to go, and they just said, nope, cut it. Like, we're done. Like, don't even mention Squirrel Girl anymore. Like, you're not even part of the MCU. Like, get the hell out of my office.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of things that are valuable, if you didn't know, Eric July's Ripeverse Yaira #1 passed $1 million in less than 24 hours of its initial funding. Mm-hmm.
Which is like, what? Weren't they saying that's like the record now for the Ripeverse books hitting a million? I think it was like Isom was like 2 days or something, or Isom was a day. Like that's so pretty cool. Like good on them. Like I hope Yaira turns out good. That cover B by like Joe Bennett, where it's got the classic like comic book text on it, where it's like the next shocking adventure. Like it's such a cool cover. That's like the best one so far. And that live action trailer, I know that live action trailer is getting a lot of criticism for some reason, but for an amateur effort, that sounds condescending. Amateur is not the right word. Effort. Indie effort is the right way. For an indie effort from a very, very small team, I was pretty impressed pretty impressed. Impressed is the right word. If I have to have a criticism for it, it's that the shot of the guy after he gets dropped on the car hood and it like crumples in, it just looks too clean. Like it looks like he doesn't look hurt at all. It looks like he gently laid down instead of dropping. And so like, that's my biggest complaint. But aside from that, I thought Yaira looked cool. I thought the filming was cool. I'm genuinely not seeing the problem with this trailer at all. I mean, one of the big things is like, oh, it's not DC or Marvel or even CW level. And it's like, did you expect it to be? Did anybody expect that to be? It's for an indie comic book.
Me and Cider were talking about this on Monday. It's like, you have to understand, like, there's a lot of first-time people involved with this, so it's like, there's going to be a lot of trial and error. And the one thing that I was saying is like, I'm not expecting it to be like great, like, oh my god, like, I'm not expecting it to be like Godzilla -1 quality for that type of budget. You know what I mean? It's like they don't have, I'm not gonna say they didn't have like the right people, but clearly they don't have the experience, and it's going to take a lot of trial and error to improve things upon it. So that was really their first shot at doing something like that. I'm pretty sure they made a lot of mistakes in the course of that production, and they learned a lot of things in the course of that production. So when they start doing more things like that in the future, they can iron out all the problems that they had and then slowly get better. I mean, that's what it just comes down to, like filmmaking, like 101. And we talk about this even with like movies, what we talk about all the time. It's like you have all these people who are writing $300 million films who have never actually done a film like in their entire life. They've done like 2 episodes of like an animated television show, and now they're doing like a Marvel movie or a DC movie, and it shows because they don't know what they're doing. But the whole point is that you actually like get your reps in by doing smaller stuff to the point where you actually figure out what you're doing. That way you can actually upgrade the quality as time goes on. But the first shot was not going to look like Netflix Daredevil or anything like that. I think people are having a little too high expectation of that. I don't mind people criticizing it by saying, "No, you could have done this better." I don't mind anyone criticizing, saying, "Well, you could have done this better." It's like, there's a lot of things they could have done better, but you have to remember this is their first shot as well. So,
Well, it's good that you highlighted like Henry's agreement here, because Henry had the comment that I wanted to highlight where he says people can't expect the first indie live action trailer to be perfect. If we wait, it'll never happen. And I think that's the most important thing to really hit, not just with this trailer, but sort of in the general indie sphere creative philosophy. Like, if you wait for perfection, if you wait to make something that has no flaws, that nobody can criticize, that is going to gangbusters blow up, you're never going to make anything. Nothing will ever get done, because one, that's just never going to happen. Even you could put out the best thing in the world and you will get just hate. Like, haters exist, right? Like Jacob and I, if you guys follow us on social media, we use the Playa Haters ball clips like every time we talk to anybody. Like, those people exist. We are them sometimes. And so like people will criticize things. And so if you just live in either fear or perfection, it doesn't get made. So like, yeah, like who said that? Leslie said the live action trailer was CW quality, for better or worse, still a good effort. Like that's really good for.
I think that's impressive.
Yeah, I do too.
A dude
like,
that was
what I
like
was trying to say. Yeah,
he spent 17 years building his YouTube platform up. This wasn't a guy that went to film school and rubbed elbows with Steven Spielberg and stuff like that. This is a guy who worked for The Blaze, making articles, making sure his opinions were known and getting known in the circles he was in Texas. He spent his time building up this platform. Now that he's up here, really, to his credit, he didn't go to the CW. He didn't go to the Marvel production companies. He went and he worked with the Saskas, who are, for right now, they're repentant Catholics. So he's finding people that are on the right of center to work with.
I genuinely didn't know that turn happened.
They said last year that they became.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, that they've repented.
Yeah, I just
genuinely
didn't know that.
Yeah, well, it's again like who puts it on Front Street? You put that on your business card, like on the back. Like, by the way, we repented. Is it in italicized font?
I think if you're a street preacher, you have to put that on your business card.
But
well,
thankfully, they're just goth chicks. So
right.
But
no, like
again,
or keep going. Yeah.
But I just wanted to say, like, what I as a wannabe writer, I guess would be a good way to put it. I register what they're trying to impress with Yaira is that she is very much, I wouldn't say alien in the sense of like Clark Kent alien to this world, but she's like alien to the way that Fluorspark functions. And that's why she looks so different and acts so different to everyone else. So,
bad comic. Sometimes the court orders you tell your neighbors what you did. Not for us here. We're all clean. But yeah, like that's one of the things I really like about it, Cider, too, is to build on what you were saying about how he went indie instead of, to the CW or Marvel or whatever. I also really like that this wasn't Eric being like, I wrote this, I directed this is all of my stuff. This is all like, I'm making this a platform for me. He was like, hey, I have this like a character. Can I get people to work on it? Do you want to work on it? Can I hire you to bring your talents onto it? Like, to me, the collaborative spirit I see coming out of there is what we need more of, sort of, in this sphere, instead of like always being at each other's throats and competing over, like, everybody always makes it so like it's really positioned regularly that like your support is finite, or your what you can like is finite, right? Like you can only like 5 things. So if you like that comic, oh, you don't like that comic, blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, that's not how it works, guys. You can like a bunch of different things. You can feel a bunch of different things at once. Not everything is limited. And I think, yeah, just spread it around. The more you can build up and bring other people with you, like that is the spirit I want to see back in comics, rather than the Marvel DC clicky, oh, I'm going to go give a writing job to, I don't know, my best friend's roommate's dog walker because she is black or something like that, right?
Badge Massaggio. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. The Massagios, the everybody really, like Zeb Wells has to. Yeah. Oh god. Don't even get me started on Vita. Vita is like the worst writer, and I can't. Every time I see her name, it's an immediate just like don't want anything to do with it. Like sometimes, if you're reading like another series and it says, well, like let's say you're reading like a Wolverine comic, and then Spider-Man shows up, and it's like, what's Spider-Man doing on Krakoa? Check out Amazing Spider-Man like 42 for the story. When I see that and it links back to a Vita Ayala book, I won't even open it to see like what, like to skim it and see what happened. I'm just like absolutely freaking done. Like want nothing to do with her. Hey, take it easy, Henry. Thanks for stopping by. I hope you have a good night too, as well. Let's see. Or go ahead. Yeah.
Well, I was just going to say, speaking of annoying leftists, we have Robert De Niro, who's terrified of Trump getting back into office because he's going to come looking for him, if he gets elected.
Okay, so yes, but before we launch into this, do either of you two know the story more? Because I just read it before we went live and got it from Josh.
No, you might as well take it. I just read it while we were bringing it up. So
perfect. So, as always, our favorite TDS suffering geriatric is back in the news, going giving us a preview, if you will, of what the coming year is going to look like in terms of politics, in terms of discourse, in terms of just general stupidity, right? So the other day, Robert De Niro was on an episode of Real Time with Bill Maher. I guess it's still going. I don't know what its schedule is. I'm always surprised when new episodes are going up. Yeah, that's right. Thank you. Like, I have no idea either. But so De Niro basically went on Maher and just I'm going to use the term from the headline because I gave it to Josh, but like, it's the most pearl clutching, like, oh my goodness, Trump, like you will ever see, short of like an internet meltdown or like a Twitter user crazy Tumblr meltdown, right? So basically he goes on Maher and he says, quote, "The bottom line is it's Biden versus Trump. Do we want to live in a world that we want to enjoy living in or live in a nightmare? Vote for Trump and you'll get the nightmare. Vote for Biden and we'll get back to normalcy." He then what was his next part? Oh yeah. And so then Maher brought up a recent poll which said that voters basically said, we liked Trump's presidency more than Biden's, and it also the president had way more support among women than, Trump had more support than Biden. I think I said president, so then it was going to be the president has more support than the president, and that wasn't going to make any sense. But yeah, so like Maher goes, what do you make of this? That Biden isn't the political powerhouse that you're hoping for? And De Niro just goes, I don't know. I just don't want to feel the way I did, and many of us don't, after the election in 2016, where we couldn't believe that it happened. The guy is a total monster, and anybody, I don't understand. I guess they get behind that kind of logic. They want to F with people, screw them, because they're unhappy about something. Trump is such a mean, nasty, hateful person. I'd never play him as an actor because I can't see any good in him. Nothing at all. Nothing redeemable in him. If he wins the election, you won't be on if he wins the election, you won't be on the show anymore. He says that to Maher, and he'll come looking for me. There will be things that happen that none of us can imagine. That's what happens in that kind of a dictatorship, a sociopathic, psychopathic, malignant narcissist. And after that, everybody went, yeah, seal clap, yeah. So
Trump is literally Hitler, guys.
It's insane. Like, okay, where do we even start with that, right, Jacob? It's like, one, this was the same playbook you guys ran last time, and it didn't help you. It got your opponent elected. And one of the things
guys, Trump is so much like Hitler. He's going to go against the Jews, and there's that's us. Actually, he's going to
wait. he's going to move the embassy from where is it now? From Jerusalem or whatever it is, because I know he moved it in there.
Oh yeah,
he finally did it.
It's just what Hitler did. It's the exact same thing that Hitler.
It's the exact same way. But like the most telling thing I think here. Well, first of all, I think we can all get a good laugh at if vote Trump and it's a nightmare, vote Biden and we get back to normalcy. Because like, even if you're not a Trump supporter, like unless you're the most brain dead, Brooklyn dad defiant, like neoliberal, like plant, everybody has to agree with that. Like Biden's an absolute shit president. Like I have no other adjective for it. I'm not a Trump guy. You guys know me. I'm pretty centrist. So it's not like
when was the last time you went to the grocery store and paid less than $20 for anything?
Do I have to go over my story about the three jumbo jacks that cost me like $18? Are you kidding me? $18 for Jack in the Box? I'm gonna riot. I'm gonna
and then not only are they still $18, but they've somehow gotten smaller, which means they're far shittier.
What of a like that's what I'm talking about.
It's like you look at it and it's like, okay, this is like Walmart quality bread. I could have got this for like $1 over at Walmart, made my own burgers from home, and saved money.
Yes.
My favorite is still the eggs. Like people still go like, oh, eggs are not that expensive. And it's like, yes, they are. And they should not be. I don't need to be paying $12. I do not need to be paying $1 an egg. Like,
well, imagine being a protein person. You go try to buy beef at a grocery store these days. And it's like, oh yeah, that's like a week's worth of
I've had to because like I work out and stuff, so I need protein, but I've had to start supplementing it with more like protein powder and shakes because I just can't keep affording like meat for all the meals that I need. Like it's insane. Like, yeah, and that's true, Dante. They always throw around Hitler, but never Mao, and it's not shocking. Well, you always see the thing with it, you know, it's one of the what how do you explain it? It's like one of the like stereotypes that always happens, and you just like wait for it to happen. You're like, yeah, I know. Come on. Like, this is going to be so stupid. But like anytime you talk about, you know, communist genocides or atrocities or whatever, what's the line, class? That wasn't real communism. Like, it's so predictable every time. Like, I laugh. Like, it is that Simpsons episode where they go, say the line, Bart, say the line. That wasn't real communism. Yeah. Like, it's so sad. But so there, like, that to me is just on its face. Like, you're insane. I don't know how you can actually look and say, you know, if you wanted to say something along the lines of like, Biden would be better than Trump or whatever, fine, whatever opinion. But to say like you're going to get to normalcy, that we're going to get to anywhere, we haven't. He's been in office for 4 years. He's done nothing. He's done nothing for the country, and he's been everything.
He's been everything that they said Trump was for the last 4 years. Remember, every time that Trump would sit out a tweet, and then everyone would say like, "Oh, he's unhinged. Can you believe the wild thing? He's gonna get us in the war. He's gonna get us killed." Biden's brain is literally melting in real time, where he can't even complete full sentences in a 2-minute interview. And they say, "Oh no, everything's fine with Biden. There's nothing. You guys are making much bigger deal out of this. Like, everything's just being gaslit." Or we're just going to put you guys.
The biggest gaslight, and I think I've talked to you two about this. I don't know if I've talked like just in general about it, but the whole thing where it's like, oh, Biden can't stand trial. He's not competent to stand trial for having held like classified documents at his house, but he's totally cognitively there to be president. Oh, and also, I'm the White House doctor. I'm not going to do a mental check during our annual physical. Like, the gaslighting is bonkers. To me, one of the gaslightings that I will never, ever, ever forgive Biden for, like, and this isn't even like a general, like a partisan thing, really. It is, well, it's twofold. One is that when he was on the election trail and he was trying to get elected and we were all still in the pandemic, he was going, yes, I will give you all $2,000 more in stimulus. I know you're all struggling, blah, blah, blah. When he got in office, he cut that shit by $600. You owe me money, old man. Like, I want my $600. But then the other one is that ever since he took office, everybody goes, look at how many jobs Biden's created. He's the job maker. He brought this country back. And I'm like, no. That's not even a fair reading of it. Do you know why all those jobs went away under Biden or under Trump? Because of the pandemic. They're just coming back. That's not job growth. It's just people going back to work. You liar. You absolute liar. Come on, man. But yeah, so that's how I feel just generally about that sentiment. It's just one of those ones where I have to roll my eyes. But I think the most telling thing in this entire senile is nice for Biden. Like there's no way. What were you saying earlier, Jacob? It's like the words I want to use will get me kicked off this platform.
Yeah, exactly.
But the most telling thing to me about the De Niro moment with Marr is when Marr presents him with the statistics and says, look, Trump is doing pretty well. People like him, especially women, more than your guy. And what does De Niro say? He doesn't have a rebuttal. He just says, and again, he says, quote, I don't know. I just don't want to feel the way I did, and many of us don't, after the election in 2016, where we couldn't believe that it happened. Nothing here is notice how like he doesn't point to anything Trump actually did. He doesn't point to anything that actually happened under his presidency, whether it was through his decision or
because it's all about emotion. It's all about emotion.
Yes.
I don't want to feel the same way that I did a few years ago when Trump was president and everyone was telling me what a horrible person that he was. I don't want to feel that again. It has no context whatsoever to whether things are actually better than they were with Biden now. It's just like, I just don't want to feel bad because, I work in Hollywood, the most lefty of lefty places in the world. And when I'm on set of these multi-million-dollar movies, all I can hear is the makeup girl just telling me how her life is an absolute wreck because Trump got elected. And
no, like that is exactly it, Jacob. It's just like I just don't want to feel the way I did, and it's like
what's sad. This is kind of a personal story, just real quick.
Hit it.
I remember when Trump won, and I went into work the very next day. There was people at my job. Were you still
in San Diego then?
I was in San Diego at the time.
Yeah.
There were people at my job who didn't show up to work the next day because Trump won the election. I just thought to myself, you guys are the softest people I've ever met in my entire life. I'm not going to show up to work because I need extra time to cope with the fact that Trump won an election, even though he's technically not even going to get sworn in for another 60 days.
Like months. Like, what are you guys talking about? Like,
You serious?
Wow.
Like 1,000% serious.
Even in deep blue Maine, we didn't have that. We had people who were like crying about it, certainly like in actual tears over it, but they went to work. Like, I guess because we got to prepare for winter, even if you don't like do a job that involves that.
That's
pay for winter, I guess. I don't know. Like
you guys in Maine, like, yeah, you can have your opinions or whatever, but then there comes that time where it's like, okay, well, now we have to do something. Like, we have to get ready for the winter. In liberal California or in New York, like these places, you don't have to buckle down and really do anything.
It really blows my mind. It really blows my mind.
I mean, my move from California, San Diego to the border of Illinois and Wisconsin in like farmland boony areas and all the stuff I had to start doing, like shoveling my driveway and icing it and putting chains on my tires. Like, it's humbling, I guess is probably like the right way to say it, where you're just like, man, people have to do this. I respect that. Like, this sucks. Like, I do not want to be out here right now. It's cold. It's wet. Get out. Like, just get me out of here. But yeah, like all of that, it's just, and the thing that gets me is that I don't want to feel the way I did. Well, who made you feel that way? This is all you guys. You all got in your freaking head. You all convinced yourself that you're looking at Hitler, Orange Man bad, all of this stuff, to take a parlance from Jacob's subject matter, like the Antichrist to your ideology. Like, you guys flipped out and you only have yourself to blame. It's so absolutely bizarre how emotional and just dumb, I guess this all is. I mean, that's not surprising. Of course it's going to be dumb, but it's just, these are the same people who say, oh, Trump's a baby, Trump's emotional, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, you are a grown, like, billionaire out here thinking that the president is going to come and hunt you down for criticizing him. Like, literally, that is what you think is going to happen. For all faults Trump has, that's not going to happen. It just isn't going to happen. They want it to happen because they sit there all day and go, oh, I can be the center of attention. I can be a hero. They can totally, I can be a martyr. I can be blah, 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 blah. And with our next story, we're going to see it and we're going to get to it. But before we do, I just wanted to say, Leslie, that Cider just highlighted this, but remember, Hollywood loved Trump until he ran as a Republican.
Yep.
Yeah. That's what everybody forgets. He was everywhere. He was in everything. People liked him. He had board games. I'm sure if we looked, he had like a shovelware video game on like
the pizza backwards, guys. He ate it backwards.
Dude, to me, like, remember, my favorite Trump moment will always be his wrestling match where I think it was against like Vince McMahon or whatever.
Yeah, it's the numerous times he beat up Vince McMahon on live television. Yes, numerous times. Yes.
But by the way, I find it very hilarious with the events that are going on this week. Remember a few years ago when Trump said that Haiti was a shithole, and everyone was like, "Oh, I can't believe Trump made this racist comment about the state of Haiti."
Haiti's a wonderful place.
Conan O'Brien went out there and be like, "See, Haiti's an amazing place. Yeah, hear what's going on in Haiti right now."
Dude, my favorite comeback to that I keep being shot around is the Conan picture. Do you remember that?
Yeah,
because
like, he's in the water, like sipping like his little fancy drink. He's like, "Oh, yeah, it's great over here."
So for those of you who don't remember, when Trump made that comment about Haiti, obviously, you got to run to defend against anything Trump says, because that's just what we do nowadays, right? And Conan was like, Haiti, he took a picture of himself at like a beach resort drinking like out of a coconut and being like, "This is a really nice, pretty country. I don't know what you're talking about. Such a shithole." And it's like, it's like one of those things where it's like, if you turned the camera like a foot to the right, you would have seen like gang warfare, somebody getting thrown off of a roof just for like not waking up on time. Like, it is really a poop hole. There's really no way to get around that.
Yeah.
But speaking of wanting to, put yourself in the center of things, to, get hysterical and try to make yourself a hero, guess who's doing that nowadays? So, folks, we have reached the Sweet Baby Inc. section or portion of our show. We have had so much development with this stupid company in the last just week alone. Like, between last week's 01 stream and this week, we've had developments out the butt. We've had videos leaked out of the butt.
Ooh,
like,
this company.
I know. I
know.
I can't. As soon as I said it the second time, I was like, Cider's gonna hit me for the phrasing. I freaking knew it. I know it. But so, yeah, obviously we all, quick rundown. If you don't know, Sweet Baby Inc. is a narrative consultation company, which is hired by video game companies and just other entertainment companies to come in and, do sensitivity reviews, give diversity and inclusion, suggestions and such. They've worked with companies ranging from Insomniac Games to Sony to Wizards of the Coast. Pretty much if it's a Western developer of any sort, they've worked with Sweet Baby Inc. in some capacity. Obviously, in the last couple of days, their work has become highlighted. So last week there was or maybe the week before, there was a Steam curator list made. So if you guys don't know what that is, on Steam, you are able to make a curated list of games for whatever reason, right? I could make a list that says games with the hottest anime waifus. Jacob could make a list that says like the best games to like be a soldier of God or something, right? Like things, you can do whatever. So somebody went out and they made a list that just said,
Jacob hates waifus.
I know. I have the messages. I will leak them. No, but so the Steam list simply listed if a game let me restart. The list simply, if a game is on the list, it is on the list, and it's because Sweet Baby Inc. publicly has a credit on it, whether it's on their website, IMDb, an interview or whatever. And so the curator, the guy's actually running it, he'd add the game and say, like, is Sweet Baby Inc. in it? Yes. Source. And that's all he would say. He didn't say, go attack them, go, harass anybody. He just said, if you want to know what games they're involved in, come look at this list. That list sparked, essentially, it's Gamergate 2.0. Like, there's really no way around it anymore, because as soon as that list came out, you had the mainstream press, the mainstream Western video game industry, and now we have the US government. All of them have circled the wagons to say, no. Look, Sweet Baby's being harassed. Look at all these, evil incel gamers again. I can't believe they're so misogynist. And so before we get to this next bit, there's one thing I need to make very, very clear here, and not to you guys specifically, but it's something I want you all to sort of put in your pocket and remember this throughout all of this discourse. For all the harassment that everybody says Sweet Baby is receiving, the quote unquote harassment campaigns and the, targeted messaging or whatever, for all of that, all of the quote unquote harassment has amounted to the existence of that list, the existence of a Discord server where the guy was working with people to run the list, right? Where somebody could go in and be like, hey, man, this game, they worked on it. And he'd go, oh, thank you. I'll go at it. And just the general backlash fans have been, like players have been having, just whether it's we've seen all of our favorite YouTubers talk about it. We're starting to see like normie YouTubers talk about it. It's really spreading around. But for all these claims that, gamers are harassing and making a campaign, the only person so far to have called for any direct action was Sweet Baby Inc. One of their writers, Chris Kindred, after that Steam curator list became public, he said, he went to Twitter and he asked his followers in the public to both mass false report the Steam curator list and his the guy's actual account. So, take away his access to the platform, to the games he might have bought, to all of his multiplayer stuff, yada, 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 and so forth. So that's just something like I remember that for all of their bleeding that the Sweet Baby Inc. defenders have about we're getting harassed. They're the only ones who've done any direct harassment. Essentially, what they're upset about is that people don't like their involvement in stuff. That is literally it. But, normal people or normal companies, somebody says, hey, I don't like them. I'm going to make a list of, games they worked on or, movies they starred in so people can avoid them. And, let's say like, I don't like Vin Diesel. Here's a list of movies that Vin Diesel is in if you want to avoid Vin Diesel movies. No other industry gets so, what's the right word? Like defensive and insecure than video games, right? Like Vin Diesel gets that list. He's not going to give a shit. He's going to go, okay, somebody doesn't like me, whatever. If,
well, they have handlers, Spencer.
That's
they
true.
Have
that
is
true.
Prepare them for this kind of thing. And the video game devs don't get this. The consultation companies don't get this. They don't get a company that comes in and says, look, when 4 people are in the chat, expect 3 of them to want to hear what you have to say. And that 4th guy want to murder you with a machete. They don't explain that to the game devs and the consults. They just tell them, go out there and be cute, do your thing, hashtags.
We want your authentic experience. We want you to
what is it?
The lived experience. And yeah, don't worry, we'll get to that because that is a very spicy story we are going to get to. But so essentially, so this story. So now fast forward a couple days, we've had, Kotaku come out in defense. You've had The Guardian. You've had like all of these mainstream outlets almost in uniform running out to run defense for Sweet Baby Inc. Oh, side note, we also need to talk about it because it's just so incredibly stupid. So Kotaku's article, which was the first like mainstream one to run defense for Sweet Baby Inc. The reporter is a woman named Alyssa Mercanti. And in trying to research her story, she wanted to, learn more about the actual list and the people who support the list. So she went to join the Discord server I had talked about, right? The one where they all talk about how to run the list. And she was asking questions like, why don't you guys why doesn't anybody use their real name and face here? Why is all the anonymity? Why don't you guys want to talk about this? And then she got booted. And it's like, and then she went and she complained and they're like, wow, I can't believe like they're out to get me. And it's like, dude, your infiltration, you use your real name and your real like picture.
And be like, hey, how come I can't see any of you guys' real faces or names or addresses anywhere here? Isn't this just weird? It's like, go away. It's like, oh my God, I can't believe they're bullying me.
That is literally what it was. And nowadays, like if you go and you go, oh, so you wanted to dox these people? Because let's be completely honest. There is no other reason she wanted to know why people didn't use their real names or anything other than I want to shame them. Yeah, well, that's it too. Like, who's going to use their real name? I don't know. Anonymity should always exist. But
Todd Gaylord defeated you in COD. You are a loser, says Todd Gaylord. Says Todd Gaylord.
No, Todd Gaylord 6969.
I don't even know if you could do that because in his address, so you have to be like Todd Gaylord, 69th Street, your mom's house,
420 Avenue or whatever. Yeah,
I live on 123 Fake Street in Springfield.
Right, exactly.
The classic, and then you give the 8576209 as like your phone number. But so Yeah, that was
That's
just
somebody's real number right now.
it. It is probably, give him a ring in your area code. Just see
For a
see
good
who's up.
time.
I come from a little town called None of Your Damn Business.
Sunil, babe, wake up. Gamergate 2.0 is happening, because that's sort of what I was trying to get at, is that none of this would have gotten to this level if it weren't for these like Sweet Baby and their defenders rushing to make it something. All the negative attention, all the stuff you're getting is your fault, because you couldn't just let people not like your product. You had to, and that's what it boils down to. Never have I ever seen any, like I was saying, oh, I don't like Zelda games. Nintendo's not shitting their pants and saying, I want their, name right now. Or even, let's go for a more realistic comparison, right? Naughty Dog. For all of the crap that people have given Naughty Dog for, and rightfully so, for like The Last of Us and The Last of Us 2, and it's, progressive overloadism and its pretentiousness, all of that stuff, they've never said, like, you need to denounce them. We are under threat. How dare you, blah, blah, blah. It's just so bonkers how they made the problem for themselves. So back to this right here, where the US government comes into play, and you guys are all going to love this. Knowing our audience, I know you're all going to love what I'm about to tell you all. So there's an organization called Take This. They are a 501c nonprofit that is centered on, helping promote the idea of mental health awareness, safety, whatever, in video games, which fine, whatever. I'm not here to criticize the main mission. Blow the government money however you want. But so in their official, as part of their work, they are officially funded by the Department of Homeland Security under it's a project known as the Disrupting Video Games Based Radicalization Through Collaborative Cross-Sector Networks. This is a DHS project that has a full budget funding behind it, which involves numerous entities, but essentially this is what their mission statement is from their official application for grant money. Quote, this joint project from the Center on Terrorism, Extremism, and Counterterrorism, Take This, and logically, and I'll get back to them in a second because you're going to want to hear them, and logically seeks to develop a shared framework for understanding extremism in games. This includes the development of a set of best practices and centralized resources for monitoring and evaluation of extremist activities, as well as a series of training workshops for the monitoring, detection, and prevention of extremist exploitation in gaming spaces for community managers, multiplayer designers, lore developers, mechanics designers, and trust and safety professionals. In addition, this project will provide a first-of-its-kind collaborative structure for public-private partnerships on preventing and mitigating games-based extremism. Taken together, this project will simultaneously improve counter-extremism collaboration in the video game industry while also providing substantial capacity building within and across developers. So that was a lot of government business corpo speak, but essentially what they just said is that this project is meant to combat, quote unquote, extremism in video games by working with every level of video game development, from your community managers to your lore developers, like the people who are writing your damn story, to your mechanic designers, the people who say, do you want to have a jump or a double jump, to sort of make sure extremism doesn't, propagate in video games. Now, the big thing I think that all of us sort of know is that that is an absurd sort of mission statement. The extremism in video games isn't really there. For all the, the people who say, oh, I committed a crime because of video games, doesn't happen. They were already wackadoos. They were already primed. It's not video game specific. What they're essentially saying is that the way video games are made today makes extremists. And we know what kind of extremists they're talking about, right? You're white supremacists, blah, 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 blah. You're very generic liberal fantasy bad guy is what they're talking about. And so they're basically saying all of the shit that existed to this day, to the formation of our project, it was bad. It was making everybody racist. And we need to, get into all of these things to make sure that we are pushing essentially our message, our propaganda at every single turn. Now, what makes this particularly scary is not only is this project focused on developers and all the mechanics and everything, but that name I mentioned before, Logically. So what they are is they are a firm or a company who made an AI named Logically, which is specifically made to counter disinformation. Now, as we all know, while that sounds like a noble goal on paper, not possible, because every time somebody tries to combat quote unquote disinformation in an official capacity, they just do so by shoving out their own propaganda. So if you throw this in with AI, now all of this stuff is, send me your, what's that word? Prospectus for a video game. I want your gameplay. I want your story. I want all of this, your monetization, how it works in multiplayer. And I want to be able to say, no, we don't do that. No, we don't do that. Let me listen in on that. Yada, 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 all of this stuff.
And you guys doing the programming about that guy in the 2K jump game, the basketball game, I swear, if Larry Bird shoots with his right hand again, you're fired for making him a Nazi. I don't care if he shoots with his right hand in real life. No white characters can have their right hand extended in the air at any video games ever.
In fact, just chop off all their right arms. We're going to get some representation out of this as well. We'll get that disabled representation.
Right.
Yes, bad comic reviews. It's not censorship. It's national security. It's literally like Patriot Act 2.0 level stuff. So yeah, and Leslie had it right there. They should never have passed the Patriot Act. This all stems from that 1,000%. And the insidious nature of that and like of the Patriot Act, of this, and how it all stems from the same thing is sort of what I was hitting. The vagueness of this language. They don't tell you what this extremism is. They don't say it's young men being radicalized to go shoot up schools. They're not saying it's people being radicalized into racial hatred or something. They don't say any of that. They just say extremism. And so you can go from there to sort of fill in the gaps. Like that's what they do. Or that's where, when they don't specifically provide explanation of what they're sort of addressing, they're relying on you and your imagination to take the most uncharitable read of it, because that's how they're presenting it. If they come to you and they say that and they act like whatever I'm talking about is a problem, you're going to go, what is that? What are problems like in my mind? What does that look like to me? And that's going to put this image. That's how we got, Orange Man, Bad Hitler, because that is the exact same process. They got the images in their mind and they let them run. So that is this non-profit, if you will. Take this. Their statement doesn't really amount to much more than we've been seeing outside of, other outlets, sweet babies being harassed. It's people who hate women. We need everybody to push back, yada, yada, yada. I think the most interesting and telling thing in their response, if you will, is the fact that for the first time in an official capacity, an entity related to all of this discourse used the term Gamergate 2.0. Like I've used it in a few articles as like a joke, but this in their intake, this is sort of declaration. They went, You may have heard of something that's happening right now called Gamergate 2. And it's like that. And then there's the fact that as
someone who survived the first Gamergate,
that's literally what it is, dude. That's literally what it reads like. And that was the joke I was going to make before I had to add this next part. But like at the end of their entire statement, it also says like, what can the industry do? We need you to unequivocally denounce Gamergate. And it's like, first of all, like stop living in the past. Like that wasn't a thing. But also it shows that they want this. They want this because this is the same crap that let them be relevant last time. I recorded a video last night with WDW Pro. You can check it out over on his channel where we went over this. But essentially, if you guys don't remember that first Gamergate, where to use the stereotypical phrase, it did genuinely start out about ethics in journalism. It was about Zoe Quinn getting positive reviews for a game from people she had either platonic, romantic, or intimate relationships with and not disclosing it. But because of, there were some missteps on the Gamergate supporters side, the probably the two biggest ones is because there was no central leadership or anything, anybody could say that they were acting in the name of Gamergate. So you got the biggest idiots, you know, acting like idiots, and that didn't really help the optics or anything. But the supporters also sort of let the gaming press run with the narrative and let them define the narrative and spent their time fighting back against that narrative. And that sort of opened the floodgate for where we are now with video games, where it was we got to pay more attention to our progressive allies, the underrepresented. We need to make sure everything is safe and protected, because it was the game journalist narrative that was being propagated. So they want that again. They want that because they know it'll propel them into relevancy. Like if I go full tinfoil hat right here, yes, we are not out of the like neoliberal bubble yet. Like I'm no way is that even true. But we have been seeing very, very, very significant inroads against a lot of that, like the neoliberal teachings and stuff. I mean, one of the more subtle ones that I always laugh about is the what is that movie that just came out, Jacob, with Sydney Sweeney and Glenn Powell, the romantic comedy?
Anyone But You.
Anyone But You. So like a movie about two attractive white people, especially a woman who's very, you know, traditionally attractive and buxom, in a romantic comedy that doesn't sit there the whole time going like, this is so stupid. That movie did gangbusters. Like everybody loves that movie. It's pretty insane. So you're starting to see little bits of pushback, but we're not out, but you're starting to see pushback. And I think they're starting to feel that heat. So they feel that heat and they go, what can we do? How do we make sure that none of this like affects us? Because again, they what was it when Suicide Squad came out? That game's been out for maybe like a month and a half at this point. In the immediate aftermath of that game, when people were legitimately criticizing the writing before they even knew Sweet Baby was attached, when we were criticizing things about why are the Suicide Squad acting so stupid? Why did you kill Batman? Why is Lex Luthor praising the Amazons for having solved toxic masculinity? Like, when everybody was questioning that stuff, you had Sweet Baby Inc. employees going on Twitter saying, there's my name in the credits. I'm so proud of the work I did. You don't have to like everything in the game, but I like, you know, like being proud and boastful. And now they're literally cowering because we're giving them the credit they wanted. It really is that perfect view into their mindset of how they just care for themselves. It's all ego driven. There's no love for video games. There's no love for storytelling or any of this crap. It's just me. How can I be the next, you know, for lack of a better comparison, Anita Sarkeesian? How can I be the next industry figure that everybody knows about? Because I clearly failed out of Hollywood proper. Let's see. Or go ahead.
Boba Fett brought this up a little earlier when we were talking about this. He says, please keep the government the hell out of video games. The last time they got involved was in the early 90s, and companies like Nintendo wound up censoring titles like Mortal Kombat. Well, that's happening again already.
Yes.
But it's not, they got wise to it. The government got wise to it. Or rather, the people who wanted to censor this have gotten wise to it. So the corporations went to work with the streamers. So now the streaming platforms say you can't show the violence in Mortal Kombat. So now Mortal Kombat, the corporation behind that, the production of that, now have to issue a streamer mode where the violent kill ends, you know, the violent endings in Mortal Kombat that made it famous are now taken out so that the streamers can play the, I don't know, combo breaker mode, I guess, and jump around and say the neat "get over here"
like
voice lines,
that is,
I guess.
Like that's such a perfect microcosm of it, because like I'm a giant fighting video gamer. I'd say that's probably my main genre of competitive games. And when it comes to Mortal Kombat, I mean, a little bit, 6'3", you know, low tier god. He's my inspiration. But Mortal Kombat, like the mechanics are fine, but it also just like it's not as flashy or as fast or really as intricate. Really, the selling point of those games was the blood and the gore and the just like, whoa, like I got you. Like, to use the term power fantasy, if you really wanted a power fantasy in a video game, you didn't get any better than Mortal Kombat, where one punch could knock somebody's head clear off their skull, right? So it's just, that streamer mode, I really hate that idea. It's just going completely against your ethos because you want money. That's all it is. It says, how can we get more money? Oh, we can go and take out all the stuff that made us unique. But yeah, Doba, in general, I think most of, at least, actually, I think like most of us here on the show in general, and I know all three of us on the panel here, we want less government intrusion in generally everything. They have their fingers way too deep into way too many things that they don't need to be there. And they do it under the auspices of, we're, making things safer, or we're making things better. And it's like, you're really not. One of the things they've done recently, where is the DHS is teamed with, and we wrote about this when it happened a couple months ago. They're now working with like Xbox, EA, Activision, the bigger multiplayer platforms, to actively monitor your chats, to like your spoken chats, to see if you're saying anything offensive. And if you are, you could get completely shut out of your accounts. For example, if we were on PlayStation Network right now, and I was talking with Jacob and Cider, and I decided to really unload the piece of my mind that I was holding back earlier. Somebody at Sony could, an AI flags it, says Spencer said this word, whatever word it might be, or this phrase, and they'll review it, and then they go, yeah, extremism, that's not good, or he's he's a racist, he's a Yahtzee, ban his account. And it's just like, that's insane. That's Gestapo level. That's tapping your phones and making sure everybody can hear everything. And it's a very, we know this, it's a very neoliberal, liberal, just in general philosophy of state control, where, we know the Gestapo, or the, what was it in the Soviets? KGB, the KGB and everything, like they were everywhere. Everybody was ratting on everybody. There was surveillance everywhere. To really drive it home, I don't know if you saw this, Jacob, but last week in Los Angeles, the city council passed a resolution to not only install like a bunch more cameras everywhere on like every city block, but they now, like, law enforcement now has the power to tap into your personal home camera feed and use that as like a surveillance.
That's why I don't trust any of these like quote unquote home security systems, whether it's like the Google Eye or Alexa and all these other things. It's like, oh, look at the convenience. You can put all these devices all in your home. It's like they're all spying on you. Every single one. If you have an Alexa in your home is compromised. If you have Google Home, your home is compromised. They literally locked the dude out of his home like 6 months ago because they thought he said something racist to a UPS driver. And then everyone just like completely like glossed over the fact that they locked him out of his own home. Google.
There have been people accused of murder because they were like yelling at like a video game and their Alexa heard them and they went, oh my God, like call the cops because this guy's getting too heated. And it's like, I just wanted the guy to die in Call of Duty. That's literally all I'm sitting here doing.
Like, what do you do here? No one called you. It's like,
why are you here?
There was that one time when Ellen DeGenerate was on and she was talking about the Alexa thing, and they talked about a dollhouse right behind it and thousands of Alexa units around the country placed an order on Amazon for that dollhouse because they heard Ellen DeGenerate talking about it on the TV. So the thing is about this is that they knew what they were doing. Like they did not allow you to change Alexa's name right out of the gate because they knew what was going to happen. People were going to name it very colorful things, and among that would probably have been wiretap. So you would say, "Good morning, wiretap. What's the weather today?" And Amazon didn't want that branding. They knew exactly what was going to happen, so they trapped you to the name Alexa, which is like as useful as Siri,
it's not.
Yeah. And that's where we're at, is all it does is listen and track you. It watches what you're doing. You can tell when it's watching. You can watch the CPU drop on your phone.
Yeah.
Whatever you're doing.
Like, I really hate that. Like, that really freaks me out. I mean, even with phones, right, Cider? Like, if you have a smartphone on you, you're probably being listened to. Like, that's just
no. If you have a cell phone on you, you're being tracked at all times. It's like
too. Yeah. Physically tracked. Yes.
I mean, if you have an if you have an iPhone, you're being tracked by Apple. If you have an Android, being tracked by Google. That's why you get random notices like, "Hey, how was your trip to Target?" Even though you just walked by and never actually went inside.
Yeah.
It's like,
and by the way, Too Fast, Too Furious taught us that every car after 1997 is low jacked. So, So that was a very helpful piece of information, Hollywood. Thanks for letting us commit crimes.
Why do you think that there's a push now to make every car electric within 10 years? It's not because it's better for the environment, because it's easier to control, because they can just turn it right off.
You've said too many racist things. You can't charge your car.
Mm-hmm.
Or hey, you said racist things. You see that wall? You're going to see it a lot closer in a second.
Right.
It's like, so your credit score is too low, so we're going to come take you off. Don't think you're going to get away with your Tesla, because we've already turned off your car.
Oh, man. What was it like a couple of weeks ago? I don't think it was Tesla in particular, because you guys know how I feel about Elon. If it was, I totally would have remembered. But I think it was like Ford. They the car needed like a firmware update, or like the console did. So it just wouldn't let you start the car. It was like, we needs the update, can't verify ownership, see like dealer, like Ford dealer or whatever for assistance. And the dude was like in the middle of like something like Maine, in the middle of nowhere. Like, what the hell am I supposed to do?
There's a reason. There's a reason why the overwhelming majority of newly built homes are now 100% electric. There's no gas in any of these homes, in any of these like apartments and townhomes anymore, because what happens when we get to a point where, hey, there's another pandemic, and this time we really need you to stay to your home. So guess what? You can't even leave if you wanted to.
You can't drive. You can't. If you leave, we'll shut off your power, or
hey guys, all these electrical cars are overloading the grid, so now we have to ration electricity. So if you guys go over your amount, you're just gonna turn off everything in your home. So,
well,
that's where we're at.
Yep. Speaking of going over the limit, we do have breaking news.
Twice in one stream. Oh, can you stop giving me news? Like, this is I'd rather can we go back to,
he just said it was news. He didn't say it was good.
I know he didn't, but now I'm making a personal plea. Like the what was that, like the Bernie meme from like 2012 or whatever? It's like, I'm once again asking you to give me good news.
Yes.
But yes, according to Jeff Snyder, who I'm sure everybody knows, he's a very prominent Hollywood insider, especially with Marvel stuff. We cite him a lot, but according to him, Scarlett Johansson has been offered the lead role in the upcoming Jurassic World movie. And I can't even.
Please clap.
That would be awesome. That would be awesome. That is literally what Jacob, like, I was gonna say, like, I don't feel anything. Like, I don't even feel like I can't even bring myself to like criticize it, because this just feels
is this
like
how
10 years too late.
Is this how the Hollywood machine works in real time? They're just giving us a window, because if you guys recall, last Saturday, Scarlett Johansson was on Saturday Night Live and did a cameo when she was making fun of that Republican woman who I guess did the rebuttal for the State of the Union address. And that was like a whole big thing.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden, Universal's like, hey, you want to do a Jurassic World movie now? Because you were so great when you came on our network on Saturday Night Live, and just so happens all this is named by the same corporation. So is this the deal? She actually had to go out there and be a political propagandist so she can get another role for a movie? Universal.
I mean, on one hand, yes, like I'm not going to disagree with that at all. Like I have no disagreement to it. Like the other part of me, or the other thing I was going to say, is that it makes me kind of laugh at ScarJo. Like, look, I like her. I still think she's attractive as a woman. I know a lot of people don't anymore as she's getting older, but like this, we had the Black Widow blowout, and then we had where she, I know, more phrasing. I can't, what is wrong with me
I know,
today?
right? Man.
But yeah, we had Black Widow where she left Marvel. They brought her back for an awful movie, and then they like screwed over her contract. So she sued them. And then she was in like one more movie. I want to say it was like the Wes Anderson one, the Asteroid City. And then she was like,
that was rotten.
Yeah, it was really bad. But she around that time, she did like an interview with Gwyneth Paltrow, like for Goop or whatever. And she was basically like, yeah, I don't really know if I want to do any more of these like big movies. I want to go on to like the next stage of my career. And now you're in Jurassic Park, which is like, for all, how we always make fun of like we talk about with the Century, like Steven Yeun and the Bear Girl were like, sorry, scheduling conflicts. I know that this is not a franchise I want to be attached to anymore. Jurassic Park is worse than that. I don't know anybody who like even gets excited for these movies anymore. Did anybody even care about the last one? Didn't that one bomb like incredibly so?
Yeah. Which one?
What was it?
Dominion,
Fallen?
right? That was the last one.
Dominion.
I think Dominion did make a little bit of money, but like it wasn't nowhere near like the ones from before. 'Cause I know like these usually like track pretty well, but I think by Dominion people got because the Fallen Kingdom was awful. Like it was just really really bad. So apparently what was it? Dominion did make $1 billion. It made $1 billion off of a $265 million production budget, so it probably profited maybe 150 200
a couple
somewhere
million.
like that. Yeah,
not bad.
So
but at least it made some money.
So here's the problem here, and it's two problems. One, does this mean that Chris Pratt is now being shown the door, like he's no longer a part of this franchise, or are they going to be working together here?
I didn't even think about that. I didn't even like put like a lead role together with Chris Pratt. Holy crap! Yeah. I didn't even think about that.
Because like, what is this going to mean now for Chris Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard? Because are they still going to be in, or are they just going to move on from like their arc entirely? And then here's the other problem. The Jurassic World franchise is extremely stupid because how many times, look, it worked for one movie. For one movie, everything made sense. After then, how many times do you guys have to create dinosaurs and try to weaponize dinosaurs only for things to go catastrophically wrong before you realize this is a stupid idea? We've gone from the first movie, then we did a second Jurassic World, then the third Jurassic World. Now we've done 3 movies after that, which is all the same thing. Like they tried to reopen the dinosaur park and then somehow got surprised that, oh no, the dinosaurs started eating people.
It didn't work. Yeah. They even went like dumber. Like I remember in that first movie, they have the like exhibit or whatever where you can ride in the ball and like go in their territory or whatever. And I was like, immediately I saw that and I was just like, you're gonna die. Like, this is the dumbest thing you could ever put your guests through. Like, what the hell is your problem?
But like, it's even the idea that, you know, oh yeah, we need to weaponize these dinosaurs because they could make great military soldiers. We could put them out in the field. It'll be like the Taliban versus T-Rexes. It's like, you guys understand we have like tanks and missiles now, right? Like we don't need dinosaurs on the combat field.
Their argument in all of them is that like, oh, the dinosaurs can traverse terrain better than regular soldiers and equipment or whatever. And it's like, you know, we live in like 2020 and we have drones now, right? And that's all we do. We can just fly things and bomb you from wherever, like regardless of who's using it.
Fallen World was so incredibly retarded. Literally, the plot of that film was that they were trying to sell a dinosaur for like 30 million. By the way, you try to tell me you can't get a dinosaur for more than 30 million? Like literally, and then the whole thing is that the dinosaur that they created is controlled by a gun. So you need to use a gun to control the dinosaur. And it's like, well, if you have a gun, why do you need the dinosaur? It's like that makes no sense.
And it's like a video game mechanic too, where it's like you point your gun, pull the trigger, and then it goes there, right?
It's
like,
literally
game.
Point and press L2. That's pretty much what it is.
That is literally what it is. And then like I think so. Fallen World's the second one, right? I've seen them. I just don't remember.
Fallen Kingdom is the second one of the Jurassic World movies.
So in Fallen Kingdom, that movie. So at the very, very end, for those who haven't seen it, at the very, very end, Ela Nubar or whatever that one is nowadays, it's like under you've all probably seen the previews where like it's got a volcano and it's under threat and all the dinosaurs are going to die or whatever. So at the very end of the movie, they're like all of the main human cast are together and they're sort of like, what do we do now? Like, do we save them? And Bryce Dallas Howard and Chris are like, we can't. Like, if they get out, they're going to cause problem. Like, this needs to end right now. And then all of a sudden you hear like the like doors opening or whatever, and you look, they look behind them, and there's a little girl who was like cloned, or I guess like it's like Alan Grant's daughter or something. I forget what that plot point was, but she's like a clone. So she goes like, she lets them out and she goes, they're like me. I had to let them out. And I'm like, they're not.
I literally audibly in the movie theater when she gave that horrific line, I audibly said, "Oh, F you," in the movie theater. It's
funny. I saw it. I watched it at home, but I said, "Shut the F up!" Like I made that reaction. I was just like, "Shut up."
So I know what happened.
What happened? Hit us, Cider.
The Pentagon saw the promotional art for Dino Riders, and they said, "We got to do this, guys. This is the 6th generation warfare right here. Dinosaurs with
so
lasers.
Much prefer warfare for this. Are you kidding me? If like this is what I want more of. Like we're gonna put armor on dinosaurs. Why? Because instead of like, we're going to make dinosaurs into soldiers. Why? We have like so many better things that could do that. Now you're combining a tank with a dinosaur. Give me a Dino Riders movie right now. I'm fine.
Mr. President, I'd like to talk to you about dinosaurs with lasers on their heads. You see, the Chinese are not going to be prepared for dinosaurs with lasers on their heads.
And then China just like space lasers them like from the sky as soon on whatever
they
boat they're
crappy
delivering them
Gundams
from.
that fall apart. That's what their answer will be. Is just crappy Gundams that fall apart.
Their
arm falls apart immediately.
Yeah, the AliExpress Gundam. It's like, well, at least they're out there. They got there.
Yeah, they made it.
It'd be like, okay, look, Scarlett Johansson, I can't exactly put you in a Jurassic World movie because that movie is ass, but have you ever thought about Superhero Samurai Cyber Squad?
The evil Kilo Khan lives inside computer circuits. With the help of Malcolm Frink, he creates megavirus monsters to attack electronic systems. Meanwhile, a freak accident turns Sam Collins into Servo. His friends join forces in their samurai's attack vehicles. Together, they transform into the Superhuman Samurai Cyber Squad.
Not Gridman.
Like, who sat there and said, nah, Gridman's dumb. Let's call it Superhuman Samurai.
Squad. Dude, Matt Lawrence, that's so funny.
Like, this show alone, like, had its own stock holding of Aquanet.
Oh, yeah. It's like Saved by the Bell, Power Rangers, and Godzilla rolled into one.
And it went about as well as you'd expect that combination to go.
Didn't it only go for like a season, I think? Like, it did not last long.
That was during the time period when like everyone was like desperately looking for like their Power Rangers clone. It was like there was that one like VR Troopers, Beetleborgs. Yeah.
Dude, Beetleborgs, like.
Well, here's the thing: is that Saban made all three of those. That's the thing.
Yes,
Saban made all three of them. They just couldn't. They couldn't capture the magic of Power Rangers, no matter how many times they tried. So
because like who said that? One of you two just said it a second ago. Where Saved by the Bell, right? Like I think you said that, Jacob. Where, yeah. Like that Saved by the Bell element is what ends up killing most of those Saban productions. Because like if you guys remember, they also did Kamen Rider like Black, and they brought him over as Masked Rider.
Man.
Yeah, and that series like. The human element is like, here's the child who's been adopted into a very like Benetton ad family, and they've got a little puppet sidekick, and they're learning, you know, family lessons every day. And it's like, this is not what we wanted, but that's what every show sort of had to be back then. I don't know. It was very bizarre.
Well, you know, speaking of cloning 90s shows.
Speaking of cloning 90 shows and putting them right back in the tube. Yes. So,
folks, you thought we were done with Marvel, but nope. The L's just keep on coming.
We're just coming right back for one of the biggest L's they've probably taken in a long time. So, folks, if you did not see the news from, I believe it was just yesterday, the showrunner, Beau DeMayo of X-Men 97 has been fired, like canned, like for... you know, pardon my French, but like canned isn't even strong enough. He was shit canned. Like they got rid of this guy. So for those of you who don't know, Beau DeMayo, he was a Marvel writer. He wrote on Moon Knight. He also helped on some of the failed like Blade scripts that were really, really early in production, not like the more recent ones. And obviously he was in charge of X-Men 97. And at this point, I'm sure a lot of you have heard of him specifically for his comments that the show was going to be based a lot on his experiences as a gay black man, for whatever that would have meant, because he didn't really elaborate on it. That's literally all he said. So you know, it's on us to speculate. But yesterday, it was announced that he is gone from Marvel, and it apparently happened late last week. And like this is whatever happened. It has to have been actually like really, really bad, because according to the Hollywood Reporter, who were the ones who broke this story, DeMayo was in the middle of like, I'm setting up press engagements, I'm doing interviews, I'm, meeting with people to write season 2. And then all of a sudden last week, Disney deactivated his account, or like his official company email, and sent a message to everybody on X-Men 97, like voice actors, staff, animators, whatever, saying Beau DeMayo is no longer like with the company, just done.
Mm-hmm.
They haven't elaborated, like there's been no details as to why he got canned. What was I gonna say? Oh, and after being canned, DeMayo went and he deleted all of his social media. And this is a guy who was very, very active on social media. Now, there is an elephant in the room that I think Cider and Jacob both probably know and are waiting for me to get to. But while it's unknown just exactly what DeMayo did to get just rocketed out Jazzy Jeff style from the Marvel offices, did you guys know he had an OnlyFans?
Yes.
Like that was, I mean, yeah, like that was one of the things that I learned from that Hollywood Reporter expose, but apparently Beau DeMayo had an OnlyFans. Apparently it wasn't explicit, but what does that even mean in like nowadays? Does that just mean?
Yeah, there's a
like,
lot of girls in
just
pro
you?
wrestling who don't have explicit OnlyFans, but
Right, that's what I'm talking about, right? Like how explicit is explicit. So
yeah.
What we know right now is that he's gone. It was sudden. We have no official explanation as to why. Now let's, we'll move into speculation here because those are the facts. But I either have to assume he was either a giant sex pest of some kind, or like somebody has to have wised up to the OnlyFans there. And here's why I'm like torn on even throwing that out there, because this is Disney we're talking about. When have they ever in the last like couple years really cared about decency or avoiding sexual content in children's areas, right? Like they haven't. They go right into it. Like that's the stuff they love. So part of me goes like, maybe like they wouldn't have cared, but maybe, just maybe, there's something where like OnlyFans was a line too far. Like you can't be, and I got into this debate with some people where they were going, oh, but he's an adult. He should be allowed to do whatever he wants on his free time. And I'm like, yes, but here's what a lot of people forget is that, you're when you make a decision about something, it's going to have an effect on other things. And sometimes doors close and sometimes other opportunities are missed, but that's what you accept when you make a decision, no matter what it is, right? Like if I go out to eat and I go, oh, can I get a chicken sandwich or a burger? I got the burger, and that means I'm not going to eat the sandwich, and that's something I just have to live with and either get it later or whatever, right? With OnlyFans and this like stuff, I raised the idea of teachers with OnlyFans. It's like you can have your OnlyFans, but I don't know what makes you compelled to think that it's okay for you to then be in a very public or like very front facing, I guess is the right term.
You can have an old. Here's the difference. Yeah. You can have an OnlyFans, or you can have a job. You can't have both. So like, pick one.
That's like essentially where I'm at. Like if you want to do it, but you can't complain after you do it about, oh, nobody wanted to hire me for it. Like we don't know if that's what happened with Beau here, but we've seen this so much with so many teachers over the past like 2 years. I mean, hell, Rachel Dolezal, if we want to go like really stupid, she just got busted for having an OnlyFans and lost her teaching position. And it's like, you are working in these industries that are very, so I didn't want to use the term public facing because it's not like Beau DeMayo or anybody is like generally out there being a celebrity, but they are public. Like they do communicate, they are out there, they have a presence. And you can't have
like
any sort of sexual presence that goes around kids. Like
here's what it is. Hollywood has quite literally crafted and created an entire generation of stupid people who are now so dumb even they can't control them anymore. Like you can kind of like parlay this on with the whole what we're seeing with the Scream franchise and everything that's going on there. They wanted that franchise to be super duper woke, and the problem is that those girls got so woke that they ended up getting fired for their woke positions, right? And here you have possibly another example of this where who knows where the line was. Like obviously firing your showrunner 2 weeks before something debuts, something happened behind the scenes. This is a normal practice. Like even if they wanted to fire him, they would at least wait till like a couple of weeks after the premiere so they could be like, oh, it had nothing to do. nothing to do with that.
Yeah.
But they got rid of him now before this whole thing is good. So they know that there's something creeping around here that's going to make them look bad. But at the same time, you hired this guy because he fit all the check boxes that you guys thought you were going to celebrate for. And then now you can't be upset because I guess he's living up to those check boxes now. It's like, who else do you want to blame about this whole situation?
The fans, apparently, right? It'll be the fans' problem soon. But like, that's something to really hammer home what Jacob said. As of today, like that show comes out 1 week today. Like that is an insane time to like drop your showrunner, the guy who's been out there, the most publicly vocal one, sharing production info, doing your interviews, and you just say, get the hell out, and you don't even say anything about it. Like that's the part that's really damning to me, is that nobody is saying what happened. Because I feel like we always hear the statements of like when Gina was fired, right? It was, she said things that don't really align with our values, whatever that corporate speak was. But or when Jonathan Majors got fired, it was, we're moving on from Jonathan Majors, in light of the trouble he's brought to the studio or whatever. You're not getting anything here. You're just getting, he's gone. And it's like, dude, there's a body somewhere. And then especially his reaction, you don't just go up and delete all of your social media unless there's some, like, to me, that reaction was, there's something in there that he's trying to hide. That if people
somebody found something, and it may have either started making the rounds or could very potentially have made the rounds before the show came out, and they were like, we have to 86 this like right away before everyone sees this.
Yeah, I definitely think it was the latter, where it's like they found something and it was going to go, and they were like, we're toast. Let's see. Hey, it's me in HD brings us up, and I've seen it touted as a joke, but it's also like not out of the realm of possibility. He might have gone really right, became a Republican Christian. And I've seen a lot of people being like, maybe that's what happened and he got fired for that. But unfortunately, I just don't think that's what happened. Like DeMayo doesn't seem like that he's going to make that term. As funny as that would actually be, I just don't think that that's what's happening here.
So
Leslie, if Marvel had said hold DeMayo and went with ugly DeMustard, this never would have happened. I know, like what do we got left?
Yeah. So I did just to step back to the Jurassic Park thing real quick, Jurassic World thing real quick. I asked AI what that would look like, and I think it's on point with what that's going to look like.
It's the dinosaurs are bad because they're disrupting a pride festival.
Exactly.
Right?
See? Yeah.
Well, I think the
only
problem here is that there's no way that her boobs would be that big in the movie. They would have to like press.
Well, obviously they've been CGI'd.
They would have to get Sydney Sweeney as a body double.
But what I love about this is it's all diversity women.
I was gonna say that too, Cider. I was gonna say what's up with the very diverse like participants there? Are they legitimately just in Africa?
It's like a lesbian pride celebration.
Yeah, it's like
it's the Woman King sequel.
Is the T-Rex base? He's just like killing a bunch of black lesbians at a pride parade. Is that what the whole concept of the next movie is going to be?
Generally, I mean, hold on. I got it. Okay.
Racist
Mr. President, I previously recommended to you dinosaurs with lasers on their heads. Now, the fellas at DARPA had an even better idea, okay? So get this. We take the brain of Hitler and we put it in a T-Rex. Now, that's already over with and he's escaped, but it worked, okay? It worked.
The old phrase is, it's better to ask forgiveness than permission, sir.
Right.
Here's even a better idea. You get a T-Rex, a racist T-Rex who hates gay women, specifically black gay women, who's on the rampage, and it actually speaks, and all of his dialogue is basically Alex Jones sound bites that you transcribe into the T-Rex.
We call it the Magosaurus. Magosaurus.
Oh my... All right, we're done here. Like we're just
Jurassic
we're done with our jobs. Yep. Like we're shutting down the site. That was the peak of what we'll ever put out, and we're out of here.
Jurassic Right.
Awesome.
Yep. Meanwhile, back at the gay guy.
Yeah. I mean that's sort of all.
Meanwhile, back in sadness.
Back at Disney, where everything is going so great for them. Yeah, I mean, big blow to Disney. Who knows how long they can keep this under wrap? Because like this is when it comes out, it's going to be a disaster for Disney. There is a scooper I'm sure you all know him. Can I Get Some Toast HD? Very, very popular one. Sunday or so, he actually tweeted about X-Men 97. Like, he retweeted somebody's thing and was like, man, Marvel cannot take this second black eye. And then he like clarified, he's like, don't worry, it's not about X-Men 97 specifically. And so he's clearly talking about Beau. So people know this information is out there. We just have to wait for that one person to tweet about it, because they held on to Jonathan Majors, right? And Jonathan Majors was like on camera, like manhandling a woman.
They literally waited until like the guilty verdict came in before they was like, okay, now we just have to cut ties with this dude. It's like, yeah, they could have made that call like literally like a year and a half, like before that happened.
Before all of it happened, they stuck him to the very end. So the fact that they said, Beau, you're out of here, it's not looking great. And so I'm kind of just sitting here waiting with my popcorn, and we'll see what happens. And you know that we're going to be one of the first to report on it, because I'm waiting for it. It's going to be so bad.
Well, and speaking of being so bad, we do have a decent closer. My camera froze. Oh, well.
My camera froze as well. Oh, no, wait. Okay, it is Siders. Yes.
It's me.
We do have an amazing closer, and it is a Jacob closer. So, Jacob, take us away with the best movie. 1 minute! Less than 1 minute of costume screen time. I'm never going to get over it. I'm going to bring it up every stream. But here we are with Madam Web again.
Yeah, so apparently Sony is a little bit, let's just call them butt disturbed by some of the things that Dakota Johnson has said over the course of the last month. Now, this film's been out for a month now, so I think it was 1 month, I think on Monday when me and Cider did the show, so it's been out for several weeks. This film, as of this recording, has made $97 million on an $80 million budget in 1 month. So it's one of the lowest drawing comic book movies ever. Like, all the memes that we gave Morbius, I think Morbius did at least double what this film did, so this one is a huge flop across the board here. They thought that, you know, hey, we really get the women demographic if we put a bunch of ladies in here for the film and put them together, and then the males will come and go watch this one, even though we're going to dress all of the attractive women down so they won't even get anything of that male gaze and all that stuff. So as a result of this, over the course of the last several weeks, Dakota Johnson has been subtly burying this film in like every single interview that she's done. And it got so bad to a point that even like a Hollywood insider tried to come out and say that, hey guys, that's not what she's actually saying. Like, you guys are taking her out of context. But then she just kept doing more interviews that made it even worse. So like now they can't even like defend like the things that she's saying anymore. So Sony is apparently upset. Here's what they're upset about. Over the last several weeks, Dakota Johnson has trashed Madam Web repeatedly. She went on Saturday Night Live a few weeks ago, made a remark about how this was a film that I guess like AI would make, to send you and like your boyfriend to go watch a movie or something like that, really disparaging about the writing. That didn't go over very well with some of the people there. She's also done interviews saying that she intentionally did not watch the movie, even though she went to the premiere of this film. She snuck out of the premiere and went and got lunch because she did not want to watch this film, and she said that she probably will never watch this film at all. So they weren't happy about those comments. People tried to ask her about some of the lines that were in this film that were kind of embarrassing, and she kind of just like blew it off as though it was just like really, really dumb. She's also made public statements right after this movie came out about the fact that, hey, you know, I signed on for a script that is not the film that we ended up making here. So, you know, something was lost in translation, but this is not the movie that was originally pitched to me. And that obviously did not go over very well with some people. She's made a lot of comments here, but I think the one that really set Sony off here was that she made a comment about how people have been pretty much trashing like this movie, saying, hey, people are saying this movie's like really, really bad, and it's like, no, don't you have anything to say? Are you gonna like defend your film at all? And she was like, no, I mean, you know, she basically said, confirmed that she's probably never gonna do another superhero movie ever again, which makes Sony upset because they kind of like they thought they was going to build a franchise around this person and around Madam Web, and she's basically saying, yeah, I'm never doing this ever again. And then when talking about the negative reaction, she just said, well, it's a real learning experience. It's not nice to be a part of something that's ripped to shreds, but I can't say that I don't understand. Basically saying that, yeah, people are upset and they probably have a right to be upset. So Sony is now looking at her, this is according to the Daily Mail, that executives are believe that she's dragging the film without taking any responsibility for its failure. And they said that, lots of people at Sony are questioning her star power. Now they say that, how she's reacted to this film's failure will likely come back to haunt her. Inside source says, not every film is going to work, but it takes a lot of hard work to even put the bad movies out there. And for your star to shit on it, it's a bad look. It says that Dakota is being...
Shut up. Keep going, yeah.
Yeah, right. It says that Dakota is now being looked down over her talk of the film because everyone in the production is thinking, what if the film was actually a box office gem? It's like she would be talking about sequels and praising herself over its good fortune. So there's some people who really personally don't like her. Some of the things that she said here has not made them very upset. So their whole argument here is that, well, if the film was actually successful, you'd be around there praising it, but because it's getting torn apart and it didn't make any money, you're just burying us and making us look bad. So there is an interesting parallel here because the last time that I recalled, and we brought this up earlier this week, you guys remember Josh Trank, who was the guy who directed the Fantastic movie?
Yep.
Yeah. So I remember when that film came out, literally days before it actually released, he did a whole rant on social media saying that the studio screwed him over. This was not the film that he wanted to do. That if you guys think that this film sucks, it's basically who was it? Fox's fault.
It was Fox. It was Fox. Yeah.
And he got blacklisted from Hollywood for doing that. I think he did one project several years later, but that's literally the only
thing too. It wasn't even a big thing. It was really small.
That's literally the only thing that he's done. He pissed off pretty much everyone, especially Fox, major studio at that time. It's this is supposed to be one of our biggest movies. It was a reboot. We were planning a whole franchise, and then obviously they used him as a scapegoat by saying that you're the reason this movie flopped, when the movie was the reason why the movie flopped. And this is kind of the same thing that we're seeing here with Sony now. It's they're going to try to say that, well, maybe if Dakota Johnson wasn't saying negative things about the movie, we would have actually had been a success. But it's no, everyone saw the movie and then saw that it was trash, and that's why you got such a negative reaction to it, because the movie itself sucks. And this movie is legitimately one of the worst movies that have come out this year. But now all of a sudden Dakota Johnson's in a similar situation here. Are they going to try to blacklist her because of the things that she said? Now, is she going to be the new Josh Trank? Because if you look ahead, she doesn't have any new projects coming out. She's attached to, I guess, rumored to be attached to a film that has Chris Evans and Pedro Pascal in it, but it's not officially in pre-production yet. So who knows if she'll even stay on that.
Probably change really fast.
Yeah, who knows if she even stays on that project, go recast her, whatever the case is.
Right.
So you're looking at a situation here where she said a lot of things, and maybe Hollywood's going to take it out on her, and at least Sony will take it out on her and say that you're the reason why this whole thing failed. And I guess this is the comment that I guess really set off Sony here. Because Johnson came out hard against the studio and the way that the studio makes movies. She says that films are made by a filmmaker and a team of artists around them. You cannot make art based on numbers and algorithms, because my feeling has been for a long time that audiences are extremely smart, and executives have started to believe that they're not. She said that audiences will always be able to sniff off BS. Even if films start to be made by AI, humans are not going to want to effing see those. So Right Out just called the people in charge of Hollywood saying that you guys really don't know what you're doing here. And she didn't go out and say that, oh, well, the reason this film flopped because we got a bunch of misogynist incels in our community who just can't stand a woman. Stupid. And yeah, so I mean, this is where we're at now with Dakota Johnson. We asked this question a couple of weeks ago when people were trying to downplay this, but now it seems like the word has gotten back to Sony and they're not too happy about this. Now, I can say this before I shoot it back over to you guys. Sony has no idea what they're doing. They were told 10 years ago that this was a stupid idea. They wanted to do this whole Sinister Six, and we want to do movies based on vaguely known Spider-Man characters. Remember when remember when they were rumored to do an Aunt May movie? Remember that was a rumor for a while? They thought that was a good idea.
My favorite was we're going to do a Black Cat movie and a Silver Sable movie. Oh, we're going to combine those movies. Oh, never mind. That movie's not happening.
Yeah.
Never heard of those characters. What are you talking about? We don't own those.
Who are they? Oh, we don't own those. Yeah, get them out of here. Throw him over to Insomniac Games.
Don't give him that jacket.
But this is where we're at now. So you've released so many dog crap movies. You've released Morbius. You released this movie. Venom 2 is probably one of the worst comic book movies I've ever seen in my life. That movie is absolutely terrible. And then of course they got another one coming out later this year. So God knows how bad that film is going to be. Oh, by the way, we also still have Kraven the Hunter somewhere in the ether that may or may not get released in the next year as well.
Ooh,
so
I can't wait for that one. It's going to be just as bad. Like, it has to be just as bad. There's no way it's going to be any good. Although Aaron Taylor is probably a better actor than Dakota. It doesn't matter. The material sucks. But this is Sony. Yeah. This is Sony in a nutshell. They're stupid. No one knows what they're doing. This is the same studio that gives Adam Sandler and Seth Rogen carte blanche to do whatever the hell they want. Seriously.
And we still see how well that's gone over the last 10, 15 years. So it's like, yeah, you guys are probably going to be the next studio that bites the dust here after the Warner Brothers or Paramount does a merger or sell to somebody else.
Yeah, when they freaking combine eventually, I can't, like, that's going to happen and it's going to be so painful. We're going to. Yeah, it's going to be bad. But so, like, to me, Dakota, like, doesn't owe them anything, because from everything that, like, you've recapped for us, like, over these past few weeks, you know, there's the rumor that she was sort of tricked into getting into the movie. There was the script bait and switch. And then there was just
she fired her agent after the trailer came out.
Fired her agent, got a new agency, like, all of the stuff. I genuinely, like, got the feeling from that movie that she got sort of shanghaied, that she didn't really know what she was getting, or she thought she was getting into one thing and they got into another. Now, yeah, like, she doesn't, it makes me, it's like, for lack of a better term, it's pretty disgusting to me that the studios are trying to use the, ooh, woo, we're so safe, be nice to us, like, argument. Because we talked about this last week with Chris Stuckman, or 2 weeks ago, whenever it was, where he said, oh, I'm not going to, you know, review Madam Web. I'm going to talk about all the stuff that happens behind the scenes because they, you know, it wasn't all their faults or whatever. It's like, no, these people need to be held accountable for what they did wrong. And for the executives to be like, oh, don't get mad at us. We're so innocent. Ooh, we didn't do anything. It's like, that's bullshit. You guys made every single decision that went into that movie. Dakota didn't do anything. Dakota showed up on stage and said, what do I do? And you gave her crap. You can't expect her to turn crap into gold. Like, literally nobody could have saved that movie. Less than a minute of screen time for your superheroes. The villain was ADR'd the entire time. Like, to me, I think Dakota's making a smart move, because to her point about audiences smelling bullshit all the time, we do. We know that with, like, look at the failing Marvel box offices, the failing Star Wars box offices. Like, we all see the stench of, like, corporatism reeks out of things, and people can tell. They go like, wow, this was a really, like, studio movie. This was a business movie, like with 2016's, like, the original Suicide Squad. So to me, Dakota coming out and doing this, I think it's only going to benefit her, because all the, like, I've seen so many people replying to your coverage this week, Jacob, going like, hey, you know what? I like her. Give her credit. She's starting to grow on me. Not bad. All right, I'll see the next thing. And it's like, that's important, more important for an actor to have than like a Hollywood sort of relationship, especially nowadays, because if you're a Hollywood shill and goon, people are going to go, ugh, I don't really want to go see whatever you're in, no matter what it is. But
so
now you have a little integrity. People go, all right.
A couple of weeks ago, we played her video when she was, like, talking about, I think it was that whole line in the trailer that people who have been goofing on, like, ever since it came out, the whole thing about, like, her dad or her mom in the jungle with the spiders or something like that, and being goofed on, and, like, listening to her talk then, it was like, okay, this girl's just a total airhead. Like, she's like, well, basically what you would think of, like, a 80s, like, Valley girl, like, that's basically like her to a T. But as she's come out, like, now, and she's actually said things that a lot of people, like, agree with. And look at this whole I guess chronicle of events that have happened here over the last, like, several months. It's like, if you were in her position and you thought you were going to be doing an MCU movie, and it turns out you weren't really doing an MCU movie, then the trailer comes out and trailer gets dunked on and makes you look stupid, and you fire your agency. Then you realize, oh, that the script wasn't the script that I associated myself with. So you probably feel more slighted by Sony than Sony feels slighted by you. and everyone out there is dunking on this movie. Are you really gonna be that enthusiastic to try to defend this in any way, shape, or form? It's like, yeah, the film sucks. Like, what can I say?
Like, yeah, like it, and like I love their attempt to be like, oh, if this movie was good, you'd be out here praising it. It's like, yeah, that's literally like how these things go. You more like, is she supposed to praise this like hot piece of garbage? I mean, you want her to, but she's clearly not going to. And yeah, I mean, you brought up the like maybe she was in the MCU and then she wasn't, and then she got a script that it wasn't the one she wanted. Like, so those are two big shakeups. Not only are you like, oh, I'm gonna be in a, so here's like how I imagine Dakota got approached, right? Like, oh, I am going to be in a Marvel Cinematic Universe movie that's about this female like superhero who's adjacent to Spider-Man, and I'm going to be like in this mythos or whatever. Then she gets on set and they say, this isn't MCU, this is Sony. Okay, cool. That's fine. And then they go, that whatever story we gave you first, we're changing it. It's not that anymore. And she goes, okay, that's fine. And then from the things we know about the film, like in its production, it went through at least 2 more like giant rewrites. And one of them was to sort of remove the Spider-Man connection. Because we talked about this like a few streams ago. Yeah. Sony thought that the movie was like, when the movie was being developed, it was being developed as if it was in Andrew Garfield's continuity. And then Sony, like halfway through the movie, went, wait, I thought it was Tom Holland. So they had to completely like redo the movie. And then they had to redo it again because they needed to take out all of the references to the time period it was in because they didn't want to date it. There is a line, Jacob, I know maybe it stood out to you because it stood out to me, but when the girls are all together for the first time and they're making somebody makes a joke about being like in prison or whatever. And one of the girls says like, oh, like Martha Stewart. And then another one says like, oh, I hope she's doing like, okay, or whatever. Right. Like it's a very quick thing. It's like a quip.
I mean, it's making it very noticeable that it's done in like the mid 2000s because they're all dancing to like Britney Spears' Toxic.
That too, came out in, like, that too. Yeah, the Toxic one too. And those two scenes happen like right back to back. So I'm like, you guys didn't even do that right. Like you couldn't even fix your references. Like, what are you doing over there? So you know, you're not MCU. You're in it's not the story you got. You're not even really connected to Spider-Man at this point. Well, I would be furious. And like we talk a lot about how, oh, if actors are getting bad scripts, they should be the ones to say, I don't want to like be in this, especially with like superhero movies, the Marvels or whatever. This isn't that sort of situation. This wasn't Dakota going, oh, this thing, like I have this crap in front of me. I want this. She was going in for something completely different.
Well, not only that, but it's like, I don't understand, like, maybe if this was still the Andrew Garfield like Spider-Man, the continuity would kind of make sense, but at the same time, it's like you got Sydney Sweeney, Dakota Johnson, and all these people who are supposed to be in the film that's not set until like 20 years earlier, right? But then you're somehow going to like, let's say this film was a success and it was supposed to be entitled to the Tom Holland Superman, Spider-Man, I should say. So you were just gonna like age them 20 years like down the line, and it's like it doesn't really like work out like that way because then you have to make them look older than they actually are by comparison because you can't like you essentially make them older than what the actresses actually are.
They'll all look like Chris Evans, Joe Biden at the like next movie. The thing about that too that really bugs the hell out of me is that like, okay, this is a Spider-Man character, it's your Spider-Man without a Spider-Man universe, whatever. So now you're telling me, even if this is like, let's say it's Andrew Garfield or Tom Holland, you're saying that Spider-Man wasn't like the spider person. It was these 4 strong, diverse females who were the inspiration for like Spider-Man. Like, what are we even doing here? Again, I don't know if Jacob or I have shown you guys. If you guys caught my stream when I talked about it a couple weeks ago, I showed an image there. I don't have it on me anymore because I right quick deleted that thing. But the movie attempts. So the movie begins with Sydney Sweeney's mom getting murdered in the Amazon, and she gets rescued by like a tribe of spider people who give her like Madam Web her powers. But these spider people are dressed in like red suits with like netting to the point where it makes them look like, oh, get it? It's the Sam Raimi Spider-Man costume. And it's like, really? Did you just origin story like Spider-Man's costume? What the hell are we even like? So what's special about him? Absolutely nothing. All the girls have better powers than he does. Like Sydney Sweeney has webbing, but it's magical. She doesn't need to do like web shooters. the black chick has like spider arms. Like it's so insulting, and it's just so dumb.
So stupid. Like, and here's the thing: there were so many narrative issues and continuity issues in this film, and these are things that should have been fixed before you ever went into production. Like, you guys should have had all of this stuff ironed out with the actual script of the movie. It's like, how do you shoot a film halfway in and realize, wait, what universe is this? How do you not know what universe you're in before you even like greenlight a script?
It's because it is what Dakota said, right? They're making this movie off of budgets and numbers. They probably saw that, but in their head they go, yeah, Tom Holland, that has to be it, because that money that happened now, that money, me get that money, and
dollar bill,
and they're not making it. Like, this movie is costing them a lot of money, and I'm kind of like, I don't know, I'm excited to see the depths of where we can go. And yeah, like, I think like Dakota trashing it, Sydney Sweeney trashing it, that's a smart move for them to be like, yeah, I was in something bad, I admit it. Now let me like admit to the fans that it was bad, instead of Isabella Merced, the Mexican chick. She's the one who's out here defending the 50 seconds of screen time, and she's like, oh, this is an origin story. It's supposed to be like early, and you're not supposed to see everything. And it's like, you get out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like you're not supposed to be able to see any action in this Madam Web movie. It's just supposed to be a bunch of teenage girls running around in New York who never get into costume at any point of their story whatsoever. Versus this blatant Spider-Man ripoff who doesn't even get an actual name throughout the course of the film.
There's also this really dumb moment, Jacob, where and you'll know exactly what it is, but like when, for lack of a better term, when Kane comes after the girls in the subway and Madam Web is like trying to run them out, and she says like, oh, we just need to find some cops and they'll help us or whatever. And she runs to like a group of cops, and the first lady she talks to, like immediately, like the lady is like looking away. Dakota Johnson comes running. She looks at her, immediately like grabs her and like puts her in cuffs. And Dakota's like, I need help. And she's like, we'll get that for you right now. Like, what you deserve. And it's like, where did that even come from? Was this supposed to be some weird anti-cop swing? Like, I genuinely, and then it was like, so I had a friend point out to me, it's like, oh, because she's wanted for kidnapping. And I'm like, but they didn't put any pictures out. They've only just said her like name. Like, nobody knows who this woman is.
And even worse continuity error. If you remember, there was one scene where the Spider-Man clone person was like in the subway with the cops. For some reason, the cops just couldn't see him, even though he was blatantly right there. So
he's like right in front of them.
It was implied that he had some kind of like invisibility technique, or maybe he was just blind to the cops for some reason. And then as the film goes on, they don't even explain like why the cops couldn't see him, which means that something got cut out halfway during the movie, but they didn't cut out the scene where they couldn't see him, because that obviously was going to lead into a plot point later on in the film. They just left completely unsolved.
Oh my gosh, it's so bad. Like, it's just so terrible. I please watch, like, everybody, if you want to have a good bad time, like, watch this movie, because you will be.
This is worse than Morbius. This is worse than Morbius. Everything you heard about Morbius, this is far worse.
Like, I give Morbius one piece of credit, and that's the Doctor Who guy. For as awful as that movie is, he seems like he's having fun, like, filming the movie. Yeah. He's just like hamming it up. He doesn't really care. So like, I have fun watching him. I watch Madam Web. I'm just like, I want to go home. Like, I want to go home right now. And I think, with that actual despair, I think we have to do something about it. And at this point, Cider, I think we just, whether it's a Sony Marvel, whether it's Marvel, I think we just need to
wait. Time out. Before we do this laser, I want to play off this one last thing here, because I think this is going to make the laser even more impactful when we do this. Cider, can you pull up that last tweet that I just pulled up there in the private chat? I think this is really going to send it home, and you guys are really going to want to blow this thing up when I show you this. This is the last breaking news story of the night.
Oops, wrong one. There we go.
Yeah. According to Grace Randolph, the Fantastic Four script is being compared to Little Women.
Ow.
This is the brand new MCU Phase 6 film is being compared to Little Women with Emma Watson. And Grace apparently thinks that this is a positive.
I
Question mark?
don't even know what that means, man. Like, I genuinely could not tell you what the hell that means.
Like this is the only reaction I can surmise.
You sure about that? You sure about that? You sure about that?
That's just from now on, we're just going to the 01 stream will be 2 hours every Wednesday of just like our headlines and then that clip playing like on repeat. Because that's literally where we're at. Like, why? I mean, okay, well, also, I will give a caveat, and maybe this is me just trying to protect my brain. This is coming from Grace. I'm not going to give like Grace's read of the movies a lot of credit. I kind of feel like she might be just making a stupid comparison, but I'm also not like we were talking about. This is very believable coming out of Marvel, and I'm just like,
with
what are you
everything
doing?
with everything else that we've heard, it could just be Grace Randolph being an idiot,
Right.
But on the slither that she's actually on to something here, this is horrifying about the direction of the MCU. Yeah, it's all going down, and it's all going down very, very rapidly. And I think now we can fire up that laser, because now you guys are really going to want to press the button.
Now, you know what? We don't even need any speech. You've seen where we're at. Cider, we just need to do something about it. Fire away.
It's gone. It can't hurt us anymore.
The roadmap still had Ironheart on it.
can't-
I love that. Oh, I can't wait for that series to come out. You know we're doing Ironheart Mania.
Oh, it's totally gonna come out. You bet. Absolutely.
I mean, it's bad. Like I like Ironheart and Blade like weren't even thoughts in my mind. It's like, oh yeah, that's still out there too.
Yeah, right. Like,
You're welcome.
Crap. And then like I laughed really hard because the last one at the top was Captain America: Brave New World, and that date was like 2021. And I'm just like, man, you guys did not make that whatsoever.
we're like, if the MCU was like Bitcoin, like we're in like the 60,000 to like 17,000 phase, where it's just straight red going straight to the ground.
Going, woo! And it,
Like,
doesn't look like Daredevil with its new casting is going to make it spike.
It's like,
and it doesn't look like Fantastic Four is going to make it spike. Woof.
we were driving Lamborghinis a few years ago. Now we're all going back to McDonald's because that's where we're gonna have to work.
We're going back to McDonald's, but we're going back because we need a job. Like, that's the thing. We're not even ordering food. Like, the MCU needs a job at this point. Man, that's so like. I don't even know what it means. Like, I'm just like, how could you a Fantastic Four? You remember that old movie? I'm blanking on the name, but it's that really like the 40s or 50s where they shrink down and they go in the ship and they go into the body. Like, Incredible Journey, right? There you go. That's all you need. There's your blueprint for a Fantastic Four movie. You don't need this introspective coming of age women's tale. I've been saying this for a long time. The rumors are, it's going to be a period piece. They're stuck in the 60s based on a comic that Marvel has put out about the Fantastic Four. I'm very, very worried that this is going to be a movie where Sue is some sort of embittered woman who Reed doesn't what was it? The rumor a couple months ago was that the reason Pascal was the front runner was because Marvel approached a bunch of different actors with the role of Reed, and they were like, why are you like, I don't want to play this character. He sucks. Like, he's awful. He's not Reed. I don't want to do this. And so Pedro took it. And so all of this is just amounting to it, Little Women, the 60s. These signs are not adding up to anything good or entertaining. So I would not get my hopes up that anything entertaining is going to come out of Marvel, but I would get my hopes up that entertaining things are going to come out of all three of us around this beautiful panel here, because folks, we are at the end of the night tonight. I want to thank every single one of you for stopping by. An amazing conversation we had tonight, folks. Again, remember, Sweet Baby are the ones who initiated the harassment. The MCU is dying, and Madam Web might be good for a laugh. But to that end, if you want entertainment, everybody here has something on offer. So I'm going to go around the horn and let everybody tell you what they've got going on, starting with our man, Yakub.
Yeah, so this Friday we're actually going to be reviewing 3 movies. There's a lot of movies coming out this week, so I have a lot of reviews up on the Bounding YouTube. We're going to be reviewing the Arthur the King movie, which is the Mark Wahlberg dog movie. We're going to be reviewing the Kirsten Stewart lesbian film that's coming out this week, and then the Magical Society and Magical Negroes, or whatever the name of that title is, that's also coming out this week. So yeah, a whole bunch of trash is coming out this week, so you guys can get to enjoy that with the rest of us. This coming Monday, we're going to be doing part 2 on the Bible Lens podcast of how Nephilim have shaped the world, have influenced the entire world. I kind of did an historical sense last week, and now I'm going to do it in a cultural sense. And some of you guys are saying that, oh, I've never seen any evidence of Nephilim or God and so like that. You quite literally are buying tickets to $300 million produced movies that are about the Nephilim. I'm going to prove that to you on Monday night. So that'll be a good show. Barroom Podcast is next week. I'm trying to get the last night show back up because the WWE are complete douchebags.
Really?
They blocked the episode because in the last literally the outro to last night's show, I played a 1-minute video of a John Cena parody video that got claimed by the WWE, and they blocked the whole stream. So I have to go and dispute that and get that back up there. So yeah, any of you streamers out there, don't ever play anything from the WWE, even if it's for a second. They will block your crap. So that's all that I got coming up at the moment. So we'll be pretty busy for the next few days.
Dude, you literally always get tagged by the WWE. Anytime you've been tagged by something, it's always been them. I guess they need
it's something
all the revenue from you. I guess all the 150 viewers you get, they need that ad time.
Like you can't play anything from WWE on a live stream. Like if you play like any kind of like video that they'll own, like they'll cut off your stream like immediately. Like, you know, the bit that we always do where like we think the stream is gone but it's not. They will unironically do that if you play any of their stuff on your stream, and then they'll block your video after the fact too. So yeah, it's a pain in the ass dealing with WWE.
Dude, I a couple like 2 weeks ago on my show, I went over the Avatar: The Last Airbender series, and I showed a bunch of clips, and they were all fine except for like a literal 2-second bit of the intro to the series that I accidentally played because I was like, oh no, I got it. Like I'm what do you call it? Like scrubbing around. I got to find the thing. Played for 2 seconds. Copyright claim to the point where like they removed the video. So I had to like do a full dispute. And I'm like, there are other clips that are like 1.5 minutes long. What are you fighting for this one for? You guys are so weird. I don't get it. Yeah, I'll never understand the YouTube ecosystem. But you know who does understand YouTube and the ecosystem and all things video? It would be Cider. What do you got going on, my man?
Apparently knowing things about YouTube.
You do more than me.
On Thursday, we do the Tokyo Happy Hour, and Nerdigans hops over on the channel with me at 9:30 Eastern Standard. We talk about Japanesey things like anime, the culture that's going on over there, and more importantly, this week we'll be talking about the tributes to Akira Toriyama that took place around the world, as well as the updates on what's going on with that really crappy Cowboy Bebop skins stuff that came out.
Oh gosh.
And we'll also have an update on what the fate of the Dragon Ball franchise is. That's officially been announced how that's going to move forward now. So that's that. So tune in for that. And of course, we're uploading videos every day, barring that YouTube doesn't have a hiccup like it did today. So hopefully tomorrow we'll be back on course again. But thankfully, we got Jacob's review of Damsel up. So feel free to check out how Millie Bobby Brown being a permanent property of Netflix is working out for her.
They are quite literally pimping out Millie Bobby Brown on Netflix.
Forever.
Yeah.
Like, she's all they've got at this point, right? Like that's all they've got. Yes, guys, Tokyo Happy Hour. Check that out. Very, very good show. Yeah, like last week, I hope this week's show is genuinely at least a little happier than last week. If you guys didn't watch last week, literally on stream, Cider and Nerdigans got the news that Toriyama had passed. It was heartbreaking. I wrote an article about it right when it happened. It's a really hard thing for me. I still get choked up a little bit thinking about the fact that he's gone. I'm definitely going to tune into the show tomorrow, even though I already would have been because I watch you guys anyway. But yes, let's see. as for what I've got going on, so of course, guys, check out Bounding Into Comics every day, where we've got news articles going up all the time, whether they're from Josh, Jacob, Nerdigans, Ryan, me, JB. Either way, there's always something to read there. We have a lot of Sweet Baby coverage right now. The most recent article is a piece about the so if you guys know, a very popular narrative around Star Wars Episode 1 was that Jake Lloyd, the kid who played Anakin Skywalker, quit acting because Star Wars fans were so toxic, blah, blah, blah. Basically, his mom just came out and said, that's a complete load of crap. I don't know why they keep saying that. It was other issues. So that's up. We're going to have a lot more. I've obviously got work to do once we're out of here. If you want more of me, you can obviously follow me on Twitter at Kabuto Writer Mav. Or if you want to see me live, you can check me out. As I was saying before, I run a show every Friday night at 5 p.m. Pacific time, 8 p.m. Eastern. The Good, the Mad, the Ugly over on my channel, Studio Kabuto, where I do deep dives into more niche topics that might not get talked about around the sphere. I just very small victory, but I'm pretty stoked about it. Last week's show was about Akira Toriyama. We just sort of talked about what he did, what he meant to us, yada yada. First live stream with over 100 views. I thought that was pretty cool, so I'm stoked on that. Yeah, aside from that, if you want to see more of us, you can come back here, same bat time, same bat channel next Wednesday for another episode of The Good, the Mad, the Ugly, where, if you've made it to this point, you get the special announcement that Josh is officially coming back next week. We were talking about it earlier. There was some Chile-related nonsense that he had to deal with, but he's back on track. So we will have our resident Brit next week. And yeah, until then, I think that's all we've got going for you. And yeah, take it easy, everyone. Have a great week. And
before we jump out, I did want to bring this up. I forgot to earlier.
Yes.
I had the artist of the Colossals do a tribute to Akira Toriyama featuring a character that was inspired by Goku. Not entirely. Star Supreme just borrows Goku's desire to test his limits. That's it, But
it's a
the quote that I attributed to this was, it's from Grandpa Goku when Goku sees him in the other world. And he says, saying goodbye is never easy, but is a necessary step before we can say hello again. And we will, I promise. So,
like, just chills too. Like, just right from that, like, it's always going to get me. The last page of Dragon Ball is like this huge spread of all the characters, like they're waving, like, and it just says like, thank you, goodbye. And then there's this message from Akira where he's like, I like, thank you for going on this journey with me. I hope I have a lot more left in my life. Like, you'll see me soon. But then he has a little blurb where he's like, I try to approach life with the same energy that Goku does. I know I'm going to do the same. And like, I read that and I almost lose it like a little baby every time.
All I have to say is that GT was always better than Super, and I'm vindicated in the fact that now everyone realizes that as a fact.
I agree. But yes, rest in peace, Toriyama-san. And we will see all of you next week. Take it easy. And yeah, good night.
Bye.
Later.